What is up, Moody? Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back, myself. Welcome back to the people. I wasn't here last time. You held it down. I liked you claiming victory on New Year's Eve when it wasn't a pop-up show. I texted you
Yeah,
about that.
I spoke too soon on that. I was so happy to get that win, and then
Yo,
after
I
we
was
hopped off the
cracking
pod,
up.
I was like, I saw like a tweet from like WWE. It's like, oh, over Femi versus yada yada, like Eddie Thorpe and Trick
Trick
Williams for the
Williams.
NXT Championship on New Year's Eve on Tuesday. I'm like, Tuesday? What are y'all talking about Tuesday? Nah, this supposed to be this weekend. And had to double check and I found out I was wrong. And I was like, fuck, I can't take that W now.
Yeah, right. It's fun. It's funny because I was honestly very earnest when I sent that text because I also believed it was a pop-up show. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I did. So I was like, oh, I dodged
I
a
mean,
bullet
they
right
talked
there.
about it and they prepped it up like it was a pop up show. I had no idea that it was just NXT is
Special
themed tonight.
edition.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
themed event tonight. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll get to New Year's Evil and the results of that. But yeah, I'll start off with my Percy. You could start off because talked about right before we hopped on just the weather. So I'll let you get some airtime.
Yep. Yep. That I'm gonna play meteorologist Moody right now. But got the Doppler radar up and everything. But like, yeah, we got hit with that like 6 inches. I remember like for the whole area it was like, 5 inches to a foot, in some areas. And I'm like,
Yeah,
bruh, like we got about like 6 inches over here of snow. And I was at work when it came down too. So I'm like, yo, this is a blizzard out here, basically for me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And hands being frigid, not being prepared at all for like just normal, when you live in the northern element, like northern East Coast, like, and this ain't even like north of north, this is mid Atlantic still, but
hmm
like had to go ahead and get the window scraper. I ain't got no gloves. Like, this shit is terrible. So I'm like, yo, this shit for the birds.
I
That's all
totally
my
under
person. It's just me complaining about the snow. And we got
yeah,
another little dusting last night too.
I totally underestimated the how much snow we were gonna get because usually when they say that we're gonna get this like snow, it doesn't necessarily reach the anticipated levels. I remember
Mhm.
having a conversation with my neighbor, and he was from like South Carolina, though he's been living here for like about 15 years. But he was like, "You think it's going to snow a lot?" I was like, "I don't think so. It's probably going to be not that bad in the second and third." So when I woke up the next morning and I just saw, I was like, "Oh, this joint snowed. It snowed." And then on top of that,
Seriously.
it's also just cold. So it's not even when it stops and the sun comes out, it's still like 28 degrees and then it feels like it's 17 and 16 or 15 degrees outside. So all that's turning into ice. I'm like, man, they just started cleaning they just cleaned the sidewalks
Mm,
in my neighborhood. Like at
yeah.
least in my apartment area where like most of it's pretty good, but the sidewalks for like the entranceways to the doors were clean, but the
Hmm.
entire sidewalk path was just filled with snow and ice. But now it's cleaned up. But yeah, man, it's frigid. Even today, it's still cold. Like it's
Damn
still cold
straight.
outside, but it could be worse. We could be in Southern
Yeah, you're
California.
right. We
Shout out
could be
to
in
him.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
Or yeah, SoCal. They got a whole nother problem. But yeah.
yeah. Uh, shout outs, not shout outs, but prayers to them, and everything goes well. I'll get into my Percy, and this is something that I sent you last night in our little group text. Um, I'm the movie guy here, and so there's one podcast that I listen to, Cinephobe.
Hmm.
It's my joint. For people that don't know, it's just basically a podcast where three guys watch movies that you love, but people think are terrible. And so they go through and we watch movies that are 40% or less on Rotten Tomatoes. And, they have a good time, they joke around, they have fun. But an iconic thing about there's a lot of there's a lot of things within with any kind of show that you kind of just pick up just being an active listener in a weekly
Hmm.
participant onto the show. And so there's just certain bits. One of the best bits is from when they watch John Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport. And there's a moment in Bloodsport, I don't know how long ago, like how recent have you seen Bloodsport?
It's been years. It's definitely been some
Okay.
years.
I definitely recommend watch Bloodsport and then listen to that podcast episode, and
Yeah.
it will get you hooked on to the rest of the show. Because there's a moment in Bloodsport where John Claude Van Damme, his character's name's Frank Dukes. He has a flashback of when he was a kid and how he became, how he got basically or learned how to the martial arts and MMA fighting
Yeah.
techniques that he uses in the movie. And he goes into this old Asian man's house. Looks like he's about to steal a sword. End up getting caught, and then the whole dialogue and conversation. Watch the clip, and you'd be like, "Yo, this shit is so terrible." The two main lines that get clipped up and used throughout like every episode of Cinephobe right now is basically he goes like, "You're not gonna call the cops." Because Jean Claude Van Damme is like French or wherever he's from, so he has like
Austrian.
accent.
I think he's Austrian. Yeah.
Is he Austrian? I'll double. I know Schwarzenegger is Austrian. I don't know.
Yeah. Schwarzenegger is.
But he's like, what kind of? He's like, he's Belgian. He's Belgian.
Belgian. Okay.
He's like, the kid is like, you're not gonna call the cops, like in the most ridiculous accent ever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna call the cops unless you're gonna have to make a deal with me. And then the kid's like, what kind of a deal? And then so that gets used for like that is if you read the comments in the because it was from Reddit, from the Cinephobe Reddit. If you read it, the comments, the first comment is like the most important scene in Cinephobe history. And it's literally just people just kind of seconding that kind of statement, just saying like this is literally the most important thing. This is what makes
the number one inside joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so when you have the chance, I highly recommend go rewatch Bloodsport. Bloodsport is actually a good movie. It's actually a good, entertaining, like fun, like action movie. But watch that movie and then go listen to that episode, and then you be like, all right, I need to find out some of the other shit that I need to like watch, and then listen to.
Yeah, like they're rewatchables. They're under Dan Le Batard, right? Amin El Hassan.
They were. I think they're under like Metal Arc. Or I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Metal Arc Media. Yeah, that's right.
It's the same people that do the
Basketball Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Yeah. I listen to that every single episode. I love that one. I've listened to it a few times. I've never been hooked on Cinephobe like you, but I've listened to a few episodes after your recommendation.
You can't just jump. Like some of it's kind of hard because there's a lot of inside baseball knowledge that you kind of have to accumulate. But if you jump in on something that you're either very familiar with, because there's a lot of movies on there that'd be like, oh, I've seen this movie so many times that I don't even need to rewatch it. I could just kind of jump in and kind of know what they're talking. Like I put on the Bad Boys 2 episode one time, and LA hadn't seen Bad Boys in how long, but he was like, oh, I know.
You remember that? Yeah,
we've seen it already, beat for beat, and so it's kind of the same thing. But then once you get out of like the ones, you'd be like, man, that was a funny episode. I want more, and then that's when you start getting into like, all right. What is something that I haven't seen before that I want to see that I just know is bad that I just want to laugh at? And so they did Observe and Report. And I was like, I already knew when that movie came out. I was like, that shit's trash. But I was like, I'm never going to watch this. But if I'm ever going to watch it, it has to be under these circumstances. And so as a Cinephobe, great series. Great series. Highly recommend. If you're going to start and you want to get the full a good amount of context of like the show and what's it about, watch Bloodsport and then go listen to that episode, and then you'd be like, all right, let me go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ooze Mountain
2 and 3.
Yeah. They did episodes on that, and Jason
Secret of the Ooze is number 2. Yep, I've seen all those.
Jason Concepcion was on one of those episodes for the Ninja Turtles. It's fun. And
they I love Jason. Jason's one of my favorites too. So
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But I was just gonna say they're all, all those same podcasters are like definitely friends and like co-workers just on different networks. They're constantly giving each other features and everything.
Shay be on there all the time. So like it's pretty good. The other one that's really good, it's new. It's what's the movie with Steven Seagal and Ja Rule?
Oh, Half Past Dead. I love that movie. I wore that movie out.
So
Half Past Dead, yeah.
This is a little bit more of a recent episode, but there's a moment in there where Steven Seagal, because he has like this fucking black scent going on for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
He looks at Ja Rule, and Ja Rule's name in the movie is Nicholas. And then he's like, man, you know I love you, Nicholas. And it's just like, whoa, what? I know he didn't say that. And so, they clip that up all the time, especially when they got a Seagal movie. They're like, you know I love you, Nicholas. I was like,
he thought he was getting away with something.
He thought he was so slick, bro. Like,
bruh.
Oh man,
Seagal is ridiculous.
They go through a lot of Seagal movies. They just did another Seagal movie. I forget the name of it, but definitely check out Cinephobe, man. Again, it's very funny, and once you understand all the inside references, you just be listening to it, and then you just be cracking up, and people be like, "What the fuck are you laughing at?" I'm like, "It is stupid. You don't even want to know."
Yeah, right.
So that's my Sunday Percy is check out Bloodsport. Then listen to the Cinephobe episode, and then I guarantee you will be hooked. You will be hooked. So, anything else before we start the show?
No, I'm ready.
All right, let's get it started.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Cutting through the crowd is how it's. Hey, Hampton, you're on my tag partner.
Coming off the top rope, the French fried fro Moody. This is the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Do all the social media things. Give us a like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials. TikTok, Instagram, all at the Wrestling Re-Up.
What's the at? I said, what's the at?
Oh, at the Wrestling Re-Up.
All right. You can't be, you gotta give them the full breath so they can be like, oh, we couldn't find you. We couldn't find you. Yeah. You gotta be, sometimes you gotta dumb it down. What's up, everybody?
No hyphen in there. No hyphen. The Wrestling Re-Up, no hyphen. There you go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast, episode 27. We are officially over the halfway mark.
We are. We indeed are.
Episode 27. I don't have any 27s that I can think off top of the head. Being like, yeah, this is our 20. Larry Johnson was 27.
Yeah, he was.
The Chiefs. So that's the only one coming off top of my head right now. But yeah, welcome. Moody's back. How was your New Year's?
It was good. I mean, both Christmas and New Year's were both spent at work, but
yeah,
as good as it can be. I mean, you get double pay for that, so I enjoy that. I mean, and plus we in our 30s, so it's like, it's not like unless I'm gonna go do some super fly shit, I've been in Hawaii for New Year's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I've been in Singapore for New Year's. So unless I'm gonna do some shit like that, I'm cool. New Year's, the 20s, y'all can have it. I'm out of here with that.
It's good to see a lot of people in their 30s in our age bracket. They'd be like, man, y'all still go out for New Year's? I'm like, I'm trying to hang out with y'all.
Yeah, right. Super kickback.
Going to the club, getting a bottle and a section and all that stuff. I was done with it in my 20s. I was like, this is a complete waste of money. So
yeah, this is the scotch and a cigar age.
I'm just glad I'm around people that are like, man, I'm just gonna go to the ABC store and pick up a bottle for $30 and then just kill it.
Exactly.
So, anything you want to get off your chest from last week that I didn't pick up on that you may have?
No, you covered it pretty well. I already said it before. What really grabbed my attention was just you claiming victory. We don't got to reopen that. So that was really the hook of it.
And
honestly, I just appreciated you.
That wasn't even something that was conscious. That was literally a spur of the moment thing. As I was thinking it through, I was like, hold up. If we keeping this, if we're keeping this wrestling, this is a DQ. This is an automatic win for me. So hey, let me get this win. But again, I can't take the win. I can't.
No, I just more so appreciate you holding it down. Solid job. I listened to the episode, and hey, granted, I know we both said that we haven't been putting in the work on social, but I think we might be getting out there. I saw 15 subscribers. I remember telling people we were at 4. So It's out there. Like, hey,
Hey,
this
it's a
time next
slow
year,
process. We
200.
ain't got nothing but time.
Exactly. We ain't going nowhere. God
All
willing.
right. All right. Let's get into this week of wrestling, and we'll start off with the major show of the week. Raw, the flagship show, debuts on Netflix. And let's before we actually get into the show, I don't think you watched this live because you were at work, but you did watch it afterwards. And I guess tell me what your experience was watching Netflix on Raw for the first time. No, Raw
So
on Netflix
actually,
for the first time. Sorry.
I did watch it at work because
Oh, okay.
I'm basically a glorified babysitter. I didn't watch it from the jump, so I didn't see like Triple H's entrance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The first thing, but of course I'm on my mobile phone, so that's how I was watching it. It was coming through smooth, like no issues on my side at all for the most part. I think I caught it like maybe like an hour 10 in. Like it was when I realized that it was that far, that's when I was like, oh no, let me go back. So I went back to Roman and Solo because I was like,
Yeah.
let me watch it from the beginning, get the entrance and everything. So I watched it, and then it was fortunate because it's on Netflix, and even though it's live, I'm just skipping through the ads, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, or the commercials. I'm just fast forwarding through it. So
Especially if
it
you
was
went back and it's you're not watching it live. Like you
Mhm,
can do that. So that makes sense.
exactly. Yeah, because I don't know how it just slipped my mind, but yeah, I was like, oh wait, yeah, Raw's on, because I think I was probably on YouTube or something, and I saw the clip of that's
Yeah.
what it was. I saw the top, literally, I opened YouTube. The top clip is Triple H, and it usually takes like an hour or so, like when you're talking about football or just like live stuff for like those major clips to get out there. And I was like, oh yeah, let me turn this on. So, but it was great. Let's start with our primo. We both agree. Oh, I didn't put Punk and
Oh,
Rollins. Punk and Rollins is primo, by the way. I didn't put it in there, but
I was going to
yeah.
get into my thoughts on
Oh, sorry.
the
Yeah, go ahead. All about your
like we
experience.
only care about Moody's thoughts. We don't care about how Samson felt about watching Netflix
Well,
and
no,
Raw on
I thought it
Netflix.
was just the layup. I thought it was the layup into transition. I was
It's a
keeping it
back and
going.
forth layup,
Free,
and then I was going to pass it back to you for the alley so you
well,
could slam dunk it to start the
yeah,
show. Come on now, we on the fast break. You just took the
yeah. I
ball
did
at
the
half court and then double dribble for 4 steps.
See. I tried to do the Jason Williams pass with the elbow behind in the lane. That's what it was. Like I was just doing. I was too cute. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I really enjoyed it. I had just signed up for Netflix literally that Monday because I don't care for Netflix like that. But because it's on Raw, because Raw's on there now, I kind of have to get Netflix. So I also am a picture person. I like the resolution. I need my 4K. I have the TV, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to pay for like the highest quality, the highest tier version of Netflix. So it gives you the 4K and the ads free and everything like that. But when I started the show, there was a little thing that popped up on the bottom that said that, hey, this program has commercials into it. So I'm like, okay, I get it, whatever.
hmm
And even if I have the ad free, I get it, like whatever. I didn't have any ads. I didn't have any ads. And it's funny because when I went on Twitter and I'm seeing people kind of keeping up with the conversation in real time, people were like, "There's so many ads. There's so many ads. Oh, y'all thought Raw going on Netflix, we wouldn't get any ads." And I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about because the first ad break we got, Solo was coming out to the ring, and then they go to commercial, and I just got a vignette for Roman and Solo and basically, the vignette of like, here's how we got to this point of this to
Yeah.
get to this match. Then, as soon as the vignette ended, Roman comes out, and then you
hmm
go into the match. Mid-match commercial break, the screen fades to black, and then what do I get? Instead of a commercial, they just put the camera back onto the match, and so I'm watching the dark moments of the match as if I was in the ring, if I was in the stadium.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Cole and Pat McAfee, they're still talking throughout the match. Even though we're on commercial, they're still talking through it. And so that was pretty much the entire show. And then the other third kind of commercial break that you would get is that you would get saying something that we're on break, we'll be right back. And then you'll just get like
Yeah.
a slideshow of superstar athletes just posing and whatnot and just like,
hmm
just kind of being stylized and looking cool and whatnot. So Just from that aspect of it, I know that's supposed to happen on the international feeds. And so I'm not sure if it was just like a first day mix up and like I was supposed to get ads, even though I have the ad free version. I hope that's not the case. And I hope that if I have the ad free version, that's the stream that I get.
Hmm.
Because that's a way better stream than having the commercials. Just like, oh yeah, we're gonna just keep you at the match. Even though nothing important is going to happen during these dark moments,
Yeah,
I'd rather you keep me during the match than take
it
me
keeps
out.
you engaged.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And like I'd rather you give me a vignette. It's basically, when you watch a PLE on Peacock,
Mhm.
and again, I have the not I have the ad free version, so it's the same thing. The only difference is that they don't keep, because there's no dark moments during matches. There's none of that.
Yeah.
But there was also another segment. Did you see the segment where Kofi and Xavier were getting interviewed by Jackie, and they kind of did a sneak diss at Kendrick? And they did a diss at Kendrick.
No, I remember. I don't remember the specifics. I remember that moment. I just remember thinking that they were dressed like douches and really leaning into this whole heel thing.
The New Day technically on the regular broadcast. I think they were on TV maybe like twice, or maybe like
Mhm.
one time. But if you take it in on the non-ad free version, they were on the show like 3 times. And so
Okay.
the Kendrick moment happened during a commercial break, and Jackie is like sitting in like the what's not the studio, but
But the
you know when
skybox,
you
the
yeah, like in a skybox kind of area,
yeah.
right? And she's doing interviews with Rhea and Damian Priest or Xavier or The Miz or whatever. And
Hmm.
yeah, Xavier and Woods, they were, doing their whole bit. They were getting booed. They weren't being allowed to talk. And then they brought up the whole Kendrick bit about like, oh, how are y'all defending Kendrick when we all know Drake won and stuff like that. And, they're saying that because they're in LA, so it's all intentional heat. But again, even that's another thing that we got too with the non-commercial, with the ad-free version. It's like you got little small clips of interviews that, do they make any difference? Probably not. I don't think they're ever going to push any storylines on
Hmm.
those ad-free commercial breaks. But again, it's something better than just saying like, "Hey, we'll be back from commercial. Here's 5 minutes of just nothing."
Yeah.
Even if I don't go to commercial, the fact that like you're not just playing 3 minutes of just music, and
Hmm.
it's just kind of like in this kind of chill state. I'm like, no, cool. I'm glad. So I rambled a little bit, but I really enjoyed the non ad version of Raw.
No, that's great. And also, you reminded me because I jumped the gun. Also, just you talking about that reminded me that I actually do have something that's top shelf, and it does go to the production of this. The return of the moving match graphics, like that we
Yeah,
had in the early, that is top shelf. Like immediately when I saw that, I was like, hell yeah! Like I
yeah.
love that. Like
And it
we
felt like
have
there
the
was a couple
technology,
different
just do it.
styles too. There was a couple
Yeah.
different styles too. They weren't all like the same style. I remember there was one that was dope. It was like Ludwig versus Sheamus. They showed a really that was a cool, really like motion graphic, moving
Hmm.
graphic kind of match card that they did. So a
And
lot of good
it
stuff.
looks phenomenal. Yeah, it looks
And I will say
phenomenal. I'm
another
glad we got
thing,
that.
this goes also to AEW as well for their change to having Dynamite stream live on Max. Um, and this will kind of get us into the show. I don't have this listed anywhere, but when The Rock came out, and when The Rock comes out, he's always like, man, the goosebumps, he
Yeah.
like pats his arm. Usually, you're not able to see that. Like when he points to the goosebumps, it's like he's like, "Oh, look at the goosebumps." I'm like, "Bro, you got to understand with this shit coming through like cable, sometimes it's
Hmm.
not always the clearest. Like especially when, your wrestlers are standing at at the entrance and it's a very colorful background, you'll see it gets a little blocky,
Yeah.
right? It's not the sharpest picture. And that's not anything from WWE or AEW. That is basically a product of just cable, just being,
Hmm.
how cable is kind of being processed into your television. But because this is streaming, the resolution on this, and again, same thing for AEW on Dynamite, the resolution of this on streaming is immaculate.
Yeah.
It's immaculate. I was like, wow, I could really see the goosebumps
hmm
on rocks, and like his whole presentation was out of this world. And then you could really see the resolution. I don't know if they upgraded their cameras. I'm sure there was a little bit of that happening, but I think a lot of that has to go with it being directly streamed rather than it getting processed through like cable, and you're kind of losing some of that resolution. So shout out to both AEW and WWE by having this on streaming platforms, because it just gets the fidelity of what we're watching a lot more clarity.
Yeah.
So, but that's enough about the transition. We'll now get into the actual show. So, what did you want to start off with as your primos?
Uh, yeah. We both got the same ones. I'm gonna say Roman versus Solo. I figured that this would start it off, and I'm so glad that I did go back. I was like, that's what I cared about the most, honestly. And yeah, great match. Roman reclaims it. I don't think there was. I'm not gonna lie. There was a slight bit of doubt, when New Bloodline comes in. But I'm like, of course. I mean, I know that the reinforcements are coming. So what did what did that held me up was once Jacob hit the triple moonsault or whatever, and then Solo follows it up with the spike. When you talk about 2.999 for me, like I was just like, I thought that was it for real. So amazing match. Were you surprised by anything? Not the match result, because I think we both would have had this if we were doing predictions, like Roman actually winning the Ulafala back and being tribal chief, but just any of the match mechanics surprise you or spots or anything?
No, and this will kind of go into my overall thoughts on the show. I think this was a very entertaining show. I think it was a good show. And I don't think it was a great show for the everyday watcher. I think for someone like us, the people that actually keep up with WWE on a weekly basis, this is a good show. It was hella entertaining, but this show was not meant for us.
Yeah. No,
This
I
show was
understand what you mean by that now, because it's the
Yeah,
new audience of Netflix and stuff. People that are just like,
exactly. So like, and if this was any regular episode, yeah, there's probably a chance that Solo could win this. But if this is your first match on Netflix with Roman Reigns, who we know is the guy,
yeah,
he's not losing that match. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not
hmm
losing that match, because that's not how you want to position Roman Reigns to a brand new audience.
for sure.
And so that's why I'm not calling it a problem. It's just understanding, hey, some episodes like this is just not for us.
hmm
The things that were for us, yeah, the match itself was for us because we were anticipating this match. The Rollins Punk match, that is for us because we were anticipating that match. But the rest of the show, it's attracting a casual audience. Triple H said it at the beginning of the episode. He was like, "This is the whole world watching y'all. They haven't seen wrestling in so long. This show, and Raws from now on out, they're all going to be live streamed at the same time. So, like, if it comes on at 8 o'clock in the United States, it's coming on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and other places 6 o'clock, wherever you're at. There is no
hmm
you gotta wait till 8 o'clock at our time. No, this is at 8 o'clock in the US. It's live. The entire world is watching.
And that's what goes to, like, I got we always attach the Bleacher Report, easy recap articles in here, and like the quote from McAfee, live on 80% of the planet. Like, that's a lot when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
mean, what, you just don't got Antarctica covered, and like, some parts of like,
Africa. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
maybe like right in the middle of like the Sahara Desert or something, maybe.
so again, it was a good show, entertaining show, enjoyable show, a show that's not meant for the everyday watcher. As an everyday watcher, you just got to be like, hey, I get it. I get it. Like, we'll get into some of the other things that stood out as to that, but overall, I get it. So no, there's nothing that really surprised me. I think it was more of like, hey, this is what happens when you got a brand new audience of people. Like Kate Adams, she was there.
Yeah.
That's our first wrestling show ever. And she's trying to figure out like what's going on. She saw the Undertaker come out. She's like, "What's that guy's story?" And she knows who the Undertaker is, but she ain't never seen badass Undertaker. She knows
Yeah,
like Undertaker, like most
yeah,
people
dead
do. And
man.
so again, that's the kind of audience that you were working with last week. Now next week, we'll see how if it gets back to. It probably will get back into a little bit more of a show for the every week watcher.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
as far as the Roman, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, also with them being an Intuit Dome in LA, so many
Yeah,
celebrities. So like just
yeah,
to go to like, us being at home, like that very first episode, those people are gonna be like, oh look, that's with a comedian Fluffy. He's
yeah,
there. Gabriel Iglesias. There was like I saw Michael Shea was in the
yeah.
background, like
Topanga,
just a bunch of people. Yeah, Topanga was there. Like she took some
Eric,
pictures with some of the it was crazy. So
Bill,
oh and yeah,
um,
he pointed to the Boston Celtics like on
and
his
he
phone.
and he had Nikki Bella. Surprise, Nikki Bella called
Hmm.
Nikki Bella, not Nikki Garcia. Nikki Bella was
Hmm.
there as well. But again, and then the other thing to that, the Intuit Dome is really nice. That's my first time I think
Hmm.
seeing it because Kendrick's concert wasn't there, right?
No, that wasn't there.
That was at the Forum,
The
right? Where the Forum is gone because that's where the Intuit Dome is, right? Because
yeah, I think
I
well, was at
remember
not the
the
Coliseum.
I
Was
think
at
he might have did it at the Intuit Dome. I don't know. I
okay,
forget, but
maybe.
either way, Intuit Dome just from TV, I'm like that looks like a really nice stadium.
Hmm.
That crowd was very LA.
Yeah,
Not even say LA. I think again, it's the circumstances of the episode because LA is not a bad crowd. That was a very Hollywood crowd
oh yeah,
because
for sure.
you could watch throughout the night. You be like, are there people in those seats?
Yeah,
Because
there's stuff to check on.
especially with the lights on the seats, I'm like, are those people in those seats? I don't think there's people in those seats. And I'm like, well, that's just like it's like going to a Heat game.
Yeah.
I don't care about the basketball. Hey,
We in
that's
South Beach, baby.
yeah,
Like,
that's pregame, man. As soon as we feel good, we about to dip out, man. Like so, not a bad thing, but again, you just got to understand the circumstances that we're dealing with. But again, getting to the show, Roman and Solo, I loved it. You know, uh, I don't think there was any surprises, especially with the circumstances that we know that we're getting into with this being a debut episode. Um, the Rock aspect of it is interesting
mhm.
because nothing was said, but there was a lot of visuals. You know what I'm saying? Like he took off the glasses, he put it on.
They built the suspense.
Michael Cole on commentary was talking about Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, but The Rock is the high chief. And that's the highest title that you could have within the Samoan dynasty family and things of that nature. And so
Mhm.
little breadcrumbs, I think that's the breadcrumb that we're going at here. Like
Yeah,
you could be the tribal chief, that's fine. I'm the high chief.
yeah. That's an important note on commentary for sure. Because yeah, like if we were just going like you said, from weekly just paying attention every week type, like knowing the story and everything, that anticipation was there, or the suspense was building. Like, oh, are we gonna get a little
Mm-hmm.
rock bottom or anything? Like, because I mean, he did say at the beginning of last year, oh, how would it be if the people's champ sat at was
Head
the
of the
tribal
table.
chief or whatever? Yeah, the head of the
Yeah.
table. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And but yeah, he was all face and everything. Like, congratulations, little bro, type shit. I'm high chief, to point it out. So it's like, all right, nice fairy tale ending or for Roman right now to be back in his position where we know him to be as the tribal chief. So the rightful one, right? So
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, especially in the next couple of weeks. And we'll get into what's going to happen with Roman in once we get to SmackDown. But overall, it was a great show. I thought the Rock's promo that wasn't the Rock. That was Dwayne Johnson.
yeah. Yeah. For sure.
That was the most business
All the
promo.
Netflix talk. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the most
Everything.
business promo ever. Like that was like a promo to like, hey, I'm talking to Nick Khan. I'm talking to the Netflix investors. I'm talking to the TKO board. Blah, blah, like that
Yeah.
was Dwayne
That's a board
Johnson.
band of TKO, yeah.
That was not The Rock. So I was like, the promo. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I get it. Again, you got to take it. You know, you got to take it. We got 50. We got 51 more episodes this year. We'll give you one. We'll give the casual audience an episode. We'll give the casual audience one episode. So take it how you get it. Any more thoughts on the tribal combat?
No, I'm good on that.
My other primo that I had was Punk versus Rollins.
For sure.
That's the most toss-up match of the night. I think that was the match I mostly anticipated because, again, it's the unpredictability of it, and again, this is the hottest probably rivalry that's going on right now. The Seth fan in me, I'm pissed. I'm slowly starting up the music.
Let it out, man. I want to hear it.
I'm slowly starting up the music of what was I saying last year or 2 years ago? I was like, if this dude Seth Rollins loses to fucking Logan Paul, you need to leave WWE and go to New Japan. And again, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm playing the music. The music, we getting it in tune. We getting it in tune because, bruh, it's not as egregious. It's not as egregious.
Of course not. Of course not.
As the Seth biased in me, bro, you need the goddamn. You don't need the title. You deserve the title.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to give it to you, take your talents to Japan. I'm done with it. Stop playing with my guy. Stop playing with him. You gonna let this 50-year-old man that barely even wrestle get a dub on you? Oh boy. They better have something good for Seth. They better have something good for Seth. I swear. That had me. I was pissed.
No, I know it's just frustration, but you saying that, I'm like, yo, Seth versus Zack Sabre Jr. for IWGP Heavyweight Championship would be sick as fuck. That would be crazy for him to go to Japan. That'd be amazing. But also, just to go to like them trading the blows, like this felt like obviously this wasn't like the bloodiness of like Hell in a Cell with like Drew and everything and all the hatred was still there. You know what I mean? Them doing the classic, like I love the classic 90s, early 2000s spot of like trading each other's finishers. And you could actually back in the day beat somebody with their finisher. That's the most disrespectful thing. We need to bring that shit back. That's something else. Put that in 2025. But yeah, Seth hitting the GTS, I was like,
he hit him. He hit him for real.
He hit him. That's what I was like. He hit him with that. And I was just like, I thought that was a wrap for real. Like CM Punk getting the stomp in, as Seth is coming in through the ropes and everything. We'll say, I mean, obviously this is all story and setup and everything, but the final GTS setup I thought was like super corny. Like, because I understand wobbly legs. Like, that is like a god tier of wobbly legs I've ever seen from Seth, where it's like, just go down, dog. Go down.
I saw somebody on Twitter, they posted a clip of that same thing happening in AEW when Moxley fought CM Punk.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. Just go down. But for you to like bounce off the ropes and land back on his shoulder, I was just like, okay, all right, sure. All right, this is the end. I know this is the end.
Then you see his arm go over his neck so he could like be in position to get put up for the GTS.
Exactly.
Like, okay, nigga.
I was like, okay, this is the end of the match right here. Yeah. I know that's where your heart drops. Like, man, fuck this shit. But yeah.
I get it. Again, it's CM Punk's first match on Raw in like 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, or at least a year. Like, again, we asked about it. Like, how many times has CM Punk wrestled last year? Not much. And that's not a problem. That's not a problem. He's a great talker. Like, use his best assets and don't ask him to overexert himself when he doesn't really need to. Perfectly fine with that. Again, this is clearly all personal bias. I have no problem with the outcome of the match. I just want my guy Seth to be right. And the best thing I've heard was that, hey, Seth Rollins wins the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But we'll get that. We'll get there in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
But
for sure. You're gonna get a whole lot
that's
more
that's
rumble main pointing. You know what I'm saying?
that's what I
Or
want right there. My boy Seth Rollins to win the Royal Rumble. So we'll speak it into existence. Throw it in the ether.
he's won it before, right? He's won it.
I don't
Like
think
20, no, 2014, or was that just like? No, he was just in cahoots with the authority at that point in time.
Yeah, I don't
No.
think he's
Either
won
way.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah,
But,
that's a good shot. If he has it, then it's like, okay, yeah, we can give him that for sure.
where did you have it? I see you don't even have this on your card.
Well, yeah. I didn't put Drew and Jay up here either, but yeah, I would have them in Primo also
Okay.
for sure.
You want to kick off mids?
Yeah. We got the same thing. Rhea
Yeah.
finally. This is I would still say this is a mid stable, just because it took us like fucking forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, as dedicated fans, but like as a very clear, obviously storyline wise, like Rhea just winning and raising the title and stuff. That's like stock up for Rhea Ripley personally. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, we're done with this. And honestly, once again, dedicated fan, just fantasy booking. You know, you can't help but do that, being, engaged with these stories. No Charlotte and no Becky. Okay, maybe it's like you said earlier. Maybe it's just something down the line. Obviously, we got plenty of time before Royal Rumble and Mania and all that stuff. So, I guess maybe that's all I'm saying. Maybe I built this up as like a pay-per-view a little bit, or just like the same thing you did with like New Year's Evil, where it's just like, I just think of it more of a special edition. That's all it was. So
yeah, again, it makes sense. It makes sense Rhea winning in this moment because again, you're bringing a whole new casual audience. You're trying to put faces to championships, and basically introduce an audience to people that not know who Rhea Ripley is. I mean, like, hey, she's
around the
one.
world.
She's the one. You know what I'm saying? So it did its job. Yeah. Any other circumstance, I actually know. I think this would have been mid regardless because it's obviously super predictable whether it was the debut episode of Raw on Netflix or not. This was bound to happen. It was just like when is it going to happen? And then the biggest thing the reason I have this in mid is I don't even know if this is over between Liv and Rhea.
That would be rough. That would be like, we can't do that. At least not immediately. I mean, I think we could. All right, let's be real. Like, Liv can come out here on Raw next week and start complaining. You know what I'm saying? Just as, and like Dom is gonna start talking shit. They're just gonna boo the hell out of him. You know what I'm saying? So, and Rhea can come down there and whip their ass or whatever. So, I do believe that could happen. But as far as like long term, that we're not having that going into Mania or the Royal Rumble. I don't see that at all. So,
man, I either think they're gonna either run it back either at Saturday night's main event or the Rumble. Because like, if Rhea's not going to be in the Royal Rumble, so like, who is she going to face? And then in the next 3 weeks, who, unless they have a number one contendership match, like, who is she going to face? You know who would be interesting? Saturday night's main event is in San Antonio. You know who's nearby from San Antonio?
Houston. Who's from Texas? Who's from Mexico?
Raquel Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Rodriguez. Or what's her name? Rodriguez or Gonzalez?
There was Gonzalez down in NXT.
Yeah, but she's from nearby San Antonio. So it would be a good look for her to somehow get a world championship match in her nearby hometown against Rhea Ripley. So
it's definitely home court advantage for her for sure. Rhea's from freaking Australia. So.
But yeah, I just worry that we might not be done with this.
Yeah. I'm glad Rhea was finally able, because we are also building, the other point of this storyline was not just getting her title back, but obviously getting her comeuppance on Dom and actually hitting the Riptide. Like, she finally hit the Riptide on Dom and broke his back. So it's like, all right, that's what puts the punctuation on it for him. It's like, all right, she kicked both of y'all asses finally, and back in her spot, like we want her to be. You have any more for this?
No, that was mine.
I would also I would have this mid rising Drew kicking off Jey Uso's head, but the entrance is like, because I remember like, there was the announcement, Triple H gave the announcement that, Travis Scott was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely didn't have the thought that he was going to perform or anything.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, that's bread. You have to, like, for one song, you know what I mean? But just being a valet, I didn't necessarily see that cool enough spot, I guess. Like most popular like hip hop artists, arguably right now, obviously outside of Kendrick, obviously he just captured all of 2024, but like top young people rap.
Mm-hmm.
Him just standing there smoking, like I was like, yeah, we on Netflix. I was like, we on Netflix. And then I was just like, obviously Jay is a actual professional athlete as a wrestler, but I was like, God damn, Travis Scott is small. I'm like, what are you, $160? Like, he is tiny. Like, but yeah, that crowd was fired up. That was a awesome.
He got a huge pop too. Like he got one of the biggest pops of the night. I'm not even talking about Jey Uso. I'm talking about Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
I was like, okay, that's what's up.
Because they played the song because they played Fiend, and that's the festival song. That should go off, yo. Like
so that was dope. And yeah, him smoking. I think that would have happened regardless, even if it was on USA. USA would have probably a little bit more of a problem with it, But because Travis Scott, I think Travis Scott just did what Travis Scott was gonna do. But it's funny. Jey Uso was interviewed on the Raw post show, and he was like, "They were like, I'm glad that you didn't inhale or anything." He was like, "Bruh, I tried not to. I did my best not to do something like that."
No.
But he was like, I was definitely smelling that, Jay.
Man, Cole and freaking McAfee was yeeting on the announce table. Like it was lit. Like they was on the announce table doing the shit like crazy.
It's funny. I didn't even get to hear they didn't do the intro of Raw. So all this hype of like, oh, Travis Scott's gonna be doing the Raw intro. I'm like, I don't even know what the Raw intro is. Yeah. Because we didn't get the intro, the intro cutscene. It just kind of jumped into the show. So hopefully they actually play the intro next week and we get to hear the song in full effect. But yeah, that was dope. And then Drew.
He's on a warpath.
Drew's low-key MVP last year, man.
No, for sure. Hey, he was up for the uppies. He was in Wrestler of the Year, nomination. So
he's already gunning for a second nominee. He's already gunning for a nominee for 2025, and it's only been 11 days. So
it's not out of the realm that he wins the title again, but I think we do got to give it like he was already built up, like that whole like him, like because he used like the ammo in the chamber of like I carried this company during the darkest era, which is true because that was his first title, winning during pandemic. And then obviously this is what gives us the build of like the CM Punk rivalry is like, Damian Priest cashing in on that Mania, the second heist of the century, basically, and kicking it off. So, but yeah, he's a permanent main eventer, obviously, at any point in time. He's like Seth, he's established, you can put the strap on him whenever, as far as like he can be on any poster, you know what I'm saying, headline and anything. He's there already. Like he's the biggest heel on Raw. Like for sure, and the most imposing because he's what 265.
He might be the biggest heel on both shows. Because
Roman is still a heel. It's funny, like we forget that he like obviously we cheer for him. He has not changed his personality at all. he is a heel. Like we were like rooting for him to get the Ula Fala back, but that's why I'm like, hey, that's a heel versus heel match. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like it's more dynamic than we think. But
I say Drew just because the way he's moving right now. We talked about it, I think, like last week or 2 weeks ago, where he ain't got no allegiances to anybody. He's just pissed. He'll go on Raw, knock your head off. He'll go on NXT, knock your head off. He'll go to SmackDown, knock your head off. It don't matter. He don't care. He don't need no friends. He's like, I'm out here just taking names. So that's where I'm like, Drew, if he goes up against a faction, like the bloodline, the new
The bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he goes against like the new bloodline by himself, like good luck, bro. Because I don't know who's gonna help him. Who's gonna help him? Maybe Kevin.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Is that he's the only one that's like on the warpath on some bloodline shit. So it's like he's just
Yeah.
pulling the KO from 2 years ago / like this year. Low key right
Yeah.
now. Because that's what's fueling his rivalry with Cody. But yeah, we know that. What else we got up here?
Well, we got some Reggie, but before we get to the Reggie, do you have any shake? I already talked about my shake as far as like no commercials on Raw and it being the best way to watch. So, do you have any shake before we get into our Reggies?
No. Well, we got half of the same one for sure.
Yeah, mine has a little bit more sauce onto it, but we could start off with the Reggie. I'm gonna say I'm saying the decision to have the segment is the Reggie. The result of the segment, no less than top shelf.
What's the result that you're appreciating?
The Hogan. I'm talking about the fact that he got booed out the building.
Oh, okay, I got you. The other side of it, the coin. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Like I said, like if I had to debate it, I'm like the decision by Triple H to even have this segment on television.
Yeah, I got you. Yes. Yeah.
That's Reggie.
Reggie. Yeah. Versus, yeah, of course.
Based off of like the actual result that we got, where like he just got booed out the stadium and you could see his feelings were hurt. That's at least top shelf.
Yo, hold on. I'll raise you one. Because I listen to No Contest Wrestling pod, with TJ Jefferson and O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
And O'Shea was saying this is one of the most important moments in wrestling history. Like just that moment. I'm like, this is like we talking about moment of the year, kicking off the year with we don't need no more Hulk Hogan, basically. We good. Like, can we wrap this up? That might just be presidential off top. Like at least because presidential, we know that's moment of the year.
Top shelf, like I say, probably presidential.
We talk about moments of the year.
Presidential.
Yeah. So
because again, my whole thing is like, first of all, like, I don't even. Why is he out here? This is stupid. Yeah. I already knew that his beer was going to be on the mat because I saw a leaked pic of the mat.
I saw it too. Yeah.
Before they even announced the deal. So I was like, okay, I guess that's the thing that's happening. But Shoes and Kaz brought up a good point. There's a lot of other wrestlers that have alcohol that they're trying to sell.
Yep.
Right? Like, I believe the Undertaker has a
Broken
line.
Skull beer. Like, he's the one that's synonymous with beer. Like, that was a fucking Euro step layup. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, you could have easily got Stone Cold, the Broken Skull beer. The Bellas have their own wine. Like, there's so many different options for you to go. But you decide to take Hulk Hogan, who the only reason, why this beer was created?
The response to him getting the not allegations, but the recording, I'm guessing?
No, this was made because
you
remember Dylan Mulvaney?
Oh, yeah. With the Bud Light deal? Okay. I got you.
The whole thing? Mm-hmm. This beer is made in response to that.
Yeah. I got you.
And again, this beer, I don't need to even taste it. This is no different than because at the end of the day, this is just like the cheapest beer that he could buy at wholesale and put a branding on it. This beer is probably no better, probably worse than PBR. And I like PBR, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is literally piss water.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter that he's not selling you crap beer. He's selling you ideology.
Mm-hmm. And you in LA? If people were smart, yeah.
That's strike number one. Strike number two is like, again, WWE, how much $1 cost? Because you could have easily gone with Stone Cold. You could have gone with the Bellas. You could have gone with the Undertaker. And again, Undertaker's MAGA too. So it's not just the MAGA-ness. As much as the new casual fans that were just watching and all the conversations that are happening on CNN, on Fox, they're like, oh, it's because Hogan was at the Republican National Convention and he was supporting Trump. It's like, that's 5% of it. But we're not going to ignore this man just being a racist piece of shit.
Exactly.
Literally saying, I am a racist.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to fuck a nigger, I'd rather him be a rich guy, a rich black guy.
It made me go back and listen to the recording as a smart fan. It made me just like watching that segment just made me bring up the actual recording again and be like, what did he say again? Oh yeah, that's right. This is why he also said he apologized and he's good now. Apologized to all like,
he didn't apologize.
The New Day.
Titus and everybody, they said he never apologized. He's just like, hey, be careful who's recording because you never know who's recording. Be careful what you say because you never know who's recording. And it's like, nigga, that's not the apology. So
yeah, we don't need Hulk Hogan.
How much a dollar cost? Because again, you could even have his fucking beer on the mat. Fine, it's in a corner. You can barely see it. Out of all of the advertisements on the mat, that is the least legible one that's there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even see it. Why does he need to come out? Even then, the worst thing about it is after the fact, he had did a backstage video with Rey Mysterio drinking the beer. And I'm like, bro, Rey, I know your son Dom is a fucking Trumper. I guess the apple don't fall too far from the tree. That's fucking wild. But man, it's unnecessary. It's stupid. You got better options. I'm glad the WWE audience, because again, Triple H, you brought this on your damn self. You started the show saying this is the first time. You said 80% of the world is watching live at this moment. Some people are watching wrestling for the first time in years since the Attitude Era, which will be my jumping off point to my next part of my Reggie. We'll be watching wrestling for the first time in years. Let them know who you are and how you feel. You teed it up from the start of this show. So when you bring out Hogan, we're going to let you know how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, it's not, people are like, oh, there's one dude on the press box. He was a black dude. He was like, I haven't watched wrestling in so long. But he was like, when do wrestling fans not become racist? And I'm like, bro, that is a fucking dumbass statement.
Yeah.
Because even as black people that watch wrestling, we know this shit's racist. We don't like it. We can spot it. Doesn't mean that we accept it. Doesn't mean that we enjoy it. It's just shit that's out of our control. The same thing that you could watch stuff that's also racist too. So again, that's a very generalized statement. But at the end of the day, to say that, hey, why are we turning on Hulk Hogan? He has every reason to be turned on. Hulk Hogan is done. We done with that shit. We can respect what you did to get us to this point, but at the end of the day, we're done with that shit. And that's my jumping off point to my second. Well, before I jump off to my second, let me get your thoughts on Hogan.
I mean, really, my whole thing is that as men of color or just black men up here, I identify as a black man. I was done with him once that recording came out. You know what I'm saying? It's not like new that black people, I mean, it's historically black people are the whipping boys of America. You know what I'm saying? It's always okay to be racist towards black. We got Vince McMahon saying nigga on TV, you know what I'm saying, directly in front of Booker T. Like, that's supposed to be funny. So it's really just a matter of like, okay, how long are the, not to be political, but the liberal whites, I guess, gonna take it for? You know what I'm saying? How long for them to catch on? And I guess, like homeboy from the press box was saying, how long for them to not be racist? You know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm just glad that it got the reaction. Like, this, might as well put it in there now. I'll type it in. Presidential for the booing to, this is already a moment of 2025. It will be in the uppies for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I try to, I was like, I could put the booing on there as top shelf, but I was like, that could probably be like my champion of the week. So, because if I was just grading on the segment itself, just for us, like I said, my reason I have the Hogan thing and Reggie is literally for the decision to have the segment in its own.
Of course.
But yeah, that was terrible in itself. But then my other Reggie on here, was the Undertaker necessary?
Obviously not necessary. Obviously not necessary. But it's not a worse spot that, I mean, we are coming off this Hogan conversation, and I know you agree, it's not a worse spot than Hogan. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
no.
But definitely unnecessary. I don't know. That's also where, same thing. Or I mentioned it earlier. No Becky, no like Charlotte. That's where I would have had that versus Undertaker. You know what I mean? So that's
And
what
I get it. You're
sticking out
trying
for
to
me.
give the cosign. Again, this is stuff like, hey, I know you haven't watched wrestling since the Attitude Era, so let's bring somebody from the Attitude Era here. You've
Give the
already
rub.
seen
Yeah.
within the first hour of the show, you've seen Undertaker, Triple H, and The Rock. That's 3 Attitude Era guys. Triple H runs the fucking show. The Rock is a board member of the entire fucking show, of the
entire
entire
company.
organization. What are you here for, Undertaker?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, please leave the past in the past. I know there's then, now, forever, and it doesn't mean that we should forget it and never acknowledge it. Stop overusing it. It is not necessary for the Undertaker to just come out on his bike, do a circle, and then put up his arm with Rhea Ripley. What does that do to anything that, again, for the casual audience being like, oh, see this woman that just won this championship belt? If you don't believe in her now, here's something else. The Undertaker is going to be out here co-signing with her. It's not necessary. She just won the championship. Like, I'm just like, the sake for nostalgia, like, to me, that shows that you don't have a lack of trust in the stars that you're building. Point blank. Point blank. He's unnecessary. I like The Undertaker as far as purely wrestling. I don't agree with him on the politics, but I'm not gonna say he's not gonna throw it into your face, because there are moments where he will throw it into your face. But he ain't Hogan at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not anything with the politics.
He's Mark
of the Undertaker.
Calloway now.
It's
Yeah.
not even anything with the politics of the Undertaker. I'm just saying there's a lot of times, let's just leave the past in the past. I get on it for AEW, where I'm like, yo, this feels way too much like 90s WCW. I'm tired of seeing Jeff Jarrett. No, I love Jeff Jarrett, but I'm like, come on, bro. Like, this is the moment to be putting up your new stars, not going back 20 years because people just refuse to be like, oh, is Stone Cold still wrestling? Bitch, he's 60 fucking years old.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. You don't think time passes? Like, do better. Do better.
That's how we get shit like the Crown Jewel show. How much is $1? When you get DX versus Brothers of Destruction, and everybody comes out injured as fuck.
Another Reggie that I'm adding here. Next year's Royal Rumble.
Why? Hold on.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh shit! Yeah,
They're
that was
taking the
announced.
Royal Rumble
You're right.
to Saudi
You're right.
Arabia.
Yeah, yeah.
We complain about these Saudi Arabia shows not meaning anything, and they take a major fucking 4.
Your favorite one too.
4. Like, that is insane. Insane.
Let us remind our viewers that we love wrestling here at the Wrestling Re-Up podcast, but these wrestling companies are not infallible.
We'll start in Saudi Arabia. That is some bullshit. That is some bullshit. Oh my god. But hey, go get your money. Like, again, that's where with WWE, you can't put aside the fact that they are a heavy Republican company. They are a very conservative company. And I think there's a bit of a disconnect with their audience at times, because it's wrestling as an audience. It's a very communal audience. It's a very friendly audience. It's audience of different ages, colors, creeds, all that stuff. And it should be an opportunity to just, hey, like most things, it's an escapism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be things that leak out into the real life that play into the show. But sometimes you can see that it's just, there's a little bit more angling than there needs to be. There's a little too much intentionality with some of the things. And watch, now they talking about, oh, Hogan should now go with all this booze that he's getting. He should go heel. He should go NWO. And it's like you're missing the fucking point. And if you put this
Oh
nigga
hell
with
nah.
if you put this nigga with American made,
Oh my
fuck Chad Gable,
God.
fuck Chad Gable, fuck
Yo.
Ivy now, fuck all of them.
No, don't even put that
Because
image around.
I'm
Like that's
guaranteeing you
crazy.
that's what's going to happen. That's
Hey.
guaranteed going to happen. They're already talking about trying to use him more. So how much a dollar cost WWE? Because again, you easily could have just did Stone Cold. You easily could have just did Stone Cold. But
Exactly.
you did Hogan for a specific reason. And it's not because he's so fucking important. It is argued Stone Cold is probably more important than Hulk Hogan right now.
And then on top of that, not only just we talking about generationally, like then now forever, yada yada. That's obviously Stone Cold spot where that would have just been way smarter. And not to mention, if you're talking about like nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, there's nobody more nostalgic than Ric Flair. So how can you not? And you have Cena here also. How is that not also LA? That's what I'm thinking. Where you get 16-time champion, have a conversation with the other 16-time champion, and be like, go get that last one. You know, some shit like that. But we got Hulk Hogan here because of that one slam from Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's wicked. It's wicked out here, bro.
That's why I said the decision to even have the segment, Reggie, the reaction to it, like I said, top shelf presidential. But
yeah,
they're not going to learn their lessons. They're going to be like, oh, any heat is good heat. So let's bring Hogan out more. Let's make this into a gimmick. Let's turn him in NWO. Like, it's like, bro, it doesn't matter. That's X-Pac heat.
Yeah.
That's not good heat. That's not us booing at Dom or the New Day. That is like, nigga, get the fuck out of my face.
Get off the screen. Go away heat. That's what you call that. Actual go away heat.
Don't ever fucking come back. Like, what 10-year-old gives a fuck about Hulk Hogan?
Not a single one. Garrett, like, if there's 10-year-olds dressing up in that I am an American, that red and yellow, I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
You're gonna have this guy come out to Real American and he's like, I'm a racist. Well, if a Real American is a racist, then we spent too much on that shit, man. But man, fuck Hulk Hogan.
On some serious shit.
Let's get into themed week at the bodega. NXT New Year's Evil. I'm gonna go back and look at what I picked because I'm pretty sure I probably would have lost because I know I got Giulia. I got Roxanne winning was wrong.
I was
right. That was the only one that I got wrong was Roxanne retaining her championship. So I was 4 for 1.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Unfortunate mischaracterization of pop-up shows.
You would have picked Giulia, and I would have been wrong, and I still would have
picked. I would have picked Giulia. I would have definitely picked Giulia because I'm like she already had her title shot and fought her way through this amazing crop of new women that we just brought in. So it's like, all right, now debut. We're clearly doing the whole new season of NXT type of thing at the top of the year. So. Yeah, Giulia, amazing. I love the Northern Lights bomb. It's simple enough, but they say a good finisher is something you can hit on anyone. But I think their chemistry that they've developed is no less than like A tier just between the two of them. And I like Roxanne Perez has definitely been one of the most consistent like women wrestlers in the world. Like she was also nominated, on the uppies. So, what 2-time champion? I needed to look back at how long this reign was, but I'm pretty sure combined reigns, she's got to be up there with like Asuka. You know what I'm saying? Because Asuka was undefeated that whole time. So I appreciate Roxanne, but I'm ready for Giulia's era. Like I want to see what she has to say more. Like we working on the promos and stuff. So it's like NXT or NXT women specifically are in like you know how the NBA, I would say, is in the international era now. All the best players are international. They're in their international era. You know, they finally like got Triple H got that whole global localization down. You know, recruiting like Stephanie Bakhurst from freaking Chile. You know what I mean? So I'm just excited to see like this reign and just what all these women are gonna do. So
Yeah. Well, I guess to take a step back, we'll say that we'll just talk about this in tandem. You
yeah.
have Femi and Giulia winning the NXT championships independently as your top shelf. I have them in primo. Now they could be in top shelf. Not in. It's more of like, again, a little bit is a bit of expected. The matches were great in itself. I have no qualms of putting it in top shelf. I guess it was just more of like, okay, like it is a kind of a new era. You know, we kind of predicted that there was going to be like a new era kind of transitioning off of the Trick and the Roxanne, you know, era to now Femi to Giulia. So I have no problem with it being in top shelf. It's just more of like, for me, I was like, okay, somewhat of expected, but I'm here for it. I still enjoy it. So
I'll suggest define it right now. Giulia and Perez are up there for their chemistry. But I suggest in-ring technicality and all that stuff. Obo was a surprise for me. Not like a super surprise, but just the fact that triple threat matches are a lot of times use the shade for retention because it wasn't straight up. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's not dominant. Obviously, we know that. But Eddie Thorpe easily could have like done a low blow or something, or, you know, just inopportune time type of shit. So that's the only reason that was also in top shelf, because he should be NXT champion and he is. But that would also be giving you a tie in your prediction, actually. Not having a trick retention for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then, like I said, I thought as soon as he won the Iron Survivor and he was like the final entrant into that match, I was like, oh, okay. Dude's got it. Then he cut the promo the following night. I was like, dude's gonna squash Trick. Then necessarily wasn't a squash, but effectively, I was actually surprised that he actually got the pin on Trick. I actually like that.
For sure.
That actually would put it more on top shelf.
Yeah.
For me, than if he had pinned Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah, it's a definitive pin on the champion.
I was like, I thought, you know, I knew it was like it's going to be a triple threat. Eddie Thorpe is going to be the one to take the pin. You're going to protect Trick. It didn't happen. Like Trick took a chair shot, but then, you know, he got put into the power bomb, and then bam, 1, 2, 3. And so I was like, hey, like, you can't question this. They ain't no Trick coming back and trying to get it. He's going to ask for a rematch, but your claim for a rematch is not as strong when you got pinned. So shout out to the Femi and the Giulia era about to start. It's going to be an interesting era just based off of these two people, because they're both like really, like, not to say that Roxanne and Trick aren't really good in the ring as well, but kind of going back to the Femi interview from Wednesday Worldwide, where he talked about the difference between like being like an athlete and a sports entertainer.
Yeah, a wrestler and a sports entertainer. Yeah,
a wrestler and a sports entertainer. I think that's what we're going to see a little bit more from Giulia and Femi as the champions of the show, where it's like, hey, you're going to be in some dog fights whenever you get in matches with these two, and you're going to see a lot of physicality, and you know, it's still going to have a sports entertainment element of it, but I think it's going to probably lean a little bit more sports, you know, than the entertainment. So I'm looking forward to this new era of NXT underneath this leadership of Femi and Giulia.
Just to add to that, I mean, it wouldn't be not a necessarily super surprise, but Royal Rumble is 4 surprises, but it wouldn't be the first time they've had the NXT champion, you know, come to be entrant in the Royal Rumble. So spots for both of them. I would love to just see that, you know, Femi and like do his march down, or at least halfway, because you know that's a long ramp. So maybe he does it halfway and then, you know, runs the rest of the way. But that would be dope.
That'd be dope. I would definitely love to see definitely love to see that. Maybe you might get a Trick. Maybe Trick might be in there too. You might get a Trick and Obafemi stare down in there or something. I don't know, but
Mhm.
it could be definitely fun to see what happens. Obafemi versus Braun Breaker.
Oh yeah, for
That'd be
sure.
dope. So it's I'm really excited for this new era of NXT underneath their championship reigns, and we will see them in about a month and 4 days at
Vengeance Day.
NXT Vengeance Day in Washington D.C. We got tickets. We will be there live in person to watch this pop up show. So
My first NXT show too. Your first NXT show?
first NXT show too, man. I think
Yep.
we should probably think about doing a post show episode when we get back.
Yeah.
So we'll have to. I think it's on a Saturday, so we'll have to record our preview thoughts, and then when we get back, we'll probably do our first post show episode of
Yeah.
the Wrestling Re-Up. So we'll check that out. One other thing, this is totally off subject, but as soon as I bought tickets for Vengeance Day, I was like, you know what? I want to get some gear. And I was looking specifically for some Jada Parker gear.
Mhm.
None.
Sold out?
No, she doesn't
there's
have a
no
t-shirt.
merch. Oh, okay.
The only thing that I was able to find on WWE Shop was like a damaged trash can between that was autographed with
Okay.
her and Michin.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that was sold out. But I'm like, as far as like Jada Parker t-shirts, WWE is not officially selling any Jada Parker t-shirts at the current moment.
Mm.
And they have like 2 Obafemi shirts.
Yeah, we need more merch, people.
I'm gonna
like
need
no,
Jada
yeah,
Parker.
no t-shirts is crazy. Yeah, no t-shirts at all is crazy.
Yeah, the fact that Jada Parker does not have a t-shirt, that's criminal. That is actually, I can't put it on here because it's not part of the show. That's some Reggie.
Yeah, that's a miss by WWE. Like, for sure, when you're building this woman up.
A t-shirt. I didn't check if there's an OTM shirt, but I don't want no OTM shirt. I want a Jada Parker shirt. The fact that you don't have a Miss Parker shirt is fucking ridiculous.
Seriously. Because she's carrying that group on her back.
I hope they get a Jada Parker. I might have to buy one of those bootleg Jada Parker shirts. Because there are some, like, fan-made t-shirts that you could buy from, like, T Republic. And I'm like, if I can find a good one, yeah, I'll buy it. But if I would like to get an official Jada Parker merch. So WWE, I need y'all to get on that ASAP.
Yeah.
Let's get into our mids. The one that we agree upon is Stephanie Vaquer wins the number 1 contendership for the Women's North American Championship. How do you feel about that?
Similar to how you have, it would be more top shelf for you. That just the fact that Oba pinned Trick, the fact that Stephanie Vaquer pins Kaylani Jordan, the only other, North American champion in history, is what, I think is more emphatic than anything. I still need a name for, like, I know the technical name, or I guess like the genus and species of her finisher, but we still haven't like named it. But it's like, the package pile driver lift into like the backbreaker or like neck breaker, really, on the back of the knee.
Sure
that's what it is.
A name. I thought it was like a 3-letter abbreviation.
Maybe I haven't caught it yet. Okay, maybe I'm missing. I'll go back and check it out. But does that? I don't have a problem with that move because it's like very unique. But do you think that like should believably put somebody down? Is that like do it for you?
I would need to look at it again, but sure, there's a lot worse.
That's true. Yeah, there's no shade to Stephanie Vaquer. I guess, maybe it does come off shady.
Like, honestly,
there's a lot worse.
I'm a fan of Michin's. I don't know how Michin's finisher is a finisher.
Yeah, seriously. There's a lot worse out there. I hear what you're saying. At least she gets them up off the ground. So there's a force. There's definitely a force element to it.
Or even Dakota Kai's finisher. I just don't understand how that works.
Yeah. That like dynamite kick. Yeah.
Yeah, because I get it. Like they hold their arm and they're falling to the ground, and it's like because I think Michin and Dakota Kai's finishers are fairly similar, where like they're holding your arm, and as they fall to the mat, you're bringing their face into like your foot or your knee or some shit like that.
That's Michin's, and she calls that eat defeat. And then Dakota Kai's is a dynamite kick. It's like a GTS. It's a GTS, but into a kick instead of like a knee to the face. So she falls on her back and like kicks you in the face. But like, yeah, there's a lot worse. You're right. So I guess
like,
maybe I'm just pointing that out.
I love both of them. I'm just like, when I see that, I'm like, that doesn't. I get the concept, and I get it in concept. I don't know if it works in practicality.
Yeah,
but it ain't too bad. It ain't too bad. But I was interested in the fact that Kaylani took the pin.
Yeah, and Kaylani showed out in this too. She's like also like she was giving Stephanie the most work. You know what I'm saying? And the most highlights like in this match. I mean, because once you have these multi-women matches, like as talented as this, you're gonna get those highlights. It's like like an AEW like weekly multi-man match that they be having. Those like 4-on-4s and shit.
Do you think Kalani interferes in the title match? Because she just won the title, and so you don't want her to just immediately just get run through by Stephanie back here, and then gets out the way.
She's been showing a little bit more edge. Like they've been giving her, like more backstage spots and like talking more. It's like she's showing a little bit more edge. I don't know if I would have her because that is pretty heelish.
Who's she?
I wouldn't have. Oh, Kaylani. That's who I meant.
Okay.
Because before it was like the white meat babyface thing, even during the title run. So she's getting more character, definition right now. But I wouldn't have her doing that yet because that's like that's just a straight up heel turn at that point. You know what I'm saying? Which I mean that's interesting. But
who's her boyfriend?
Carmelo. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Carmelo talking that talk. She could talk that talk?
Yeah.
Like that. You talk about power couples. Like that could be your birth of one right there, where you just got two smack talking people that just like, yo, we the best.
Yeah. So now I want this faction of now I want this faction because we already said Bianca and Montez need to go heel and be like the new Nation of not Nation of Domination, but be on some like Hotep stuff.
Yeah.
And like take down the White Devil and then just have Carmelo and Kaylani right next to him. That's a whole faction of just like Black Power and Black Love.
Dr. Umar as their manager. Dr. Umar as their manager.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Get goddamn Carmelo and
Trick or not Trick, but Carmelo and Montez need to be wearing koofies like they just came out of prison and like committed to
some goddamn leather jackets, with the all that, man, just looking like goddamn
Hell yeah, that'd be fire. Did you have any more to say about the women's match?
Again, not surprised that Stephanie won. More surprised Kalani took the pin, and I'm just curious to see how that plays out moving forward. So, no, other than that, I thought that was really good.
Okay. Next for me, honestly, I have this. Well, I low-key wanted to put it in Shake just because of the match stipulation, where that this is for the Heritage Cup, and we just abandoned the Heritage Cup rules for this match. And I'm like, what's the point of the fucking Heritage Cup then? But I still enjoy these guys too much to have them in Shake. So this would just be a mid decreasing, y'all falling off with this shit. That's the whole point of defining the title. That you have this trophy and it's not like a championship belt. You know what I'm saying? It's different over here. Like, I just thought it was dumb.
I was a little confused by that. I think it probably had to do with the end of how last week happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the controversy of, William Regal throwing in the brass knuckles and whatnot and knocking out Lexus King and whatnot. So I get that. I probably would leave it in Shake. I don't really have that anywhere, but I probably put it in Shake. A lot of it is just, I'm a fan of Lexus King. And I'll admit, a lot of that probably has to do with the nepotism of it. Not a lot. some of like there's a portion of it is probably the nepotism of it. The other half is like he's just very entertaining. I like his expressions. He
Yeah.
seems like I don't ever think he'll probably be a world champion, but he's gonna be a hell of
I
a
see.
IC US champion mid Carter. Like
Mhm.
I'm a fan, and Charlie Dempsey. I'm a fan of Charlie Dempsey as well. So I'm a fan of both of them. That it's gonna be hard for me to kind of just be negative on it.
Yeah. Well, that's my thoughts for NXT New Year's Evil. You got anything
Yeah.
else?
No, I think that's my thoughts as well. The Bodega was fun this week. So fun that they're re-showing it tonight on CW. A replay of it. Oh, one thing we also didn't talk about: The Rock was here as well.
Oh yeah.
He cut a promo. Promo was a little bit better than Monday's promo, though. Again, The Rock just went out there and just said the F word about 4 times. That wasn't bleeped. He had a conversation with not Eddie Thorpe. It was Ethan Page.
Who? Ethan Page, yeah. Where that was supposed to be like that was definitely supposed to be Eddie Thorpe because you remember I called that shit when he hurt Ava. He fractured poor little Ava's arm. You know what I'm saying? He gave her a concussion. Like she had a dislocated hip. Like all that shit, bro. Like he's lucky. He's lucky. I thought it was coming, but yeah, they let him off. But it was a good segment with Ethan Page. Sorry.
No. It's funny, and it's funny. Like they didn't really acknowledge that was her dad.
Not at all. We just gotta know. It was ridiculous.
You know, and you can like they never explicitly said it, but you can see that there was a little bit of like, hey, pops.
And then also, I think it's so important is that like I guess why they do that is because you literally don't want to like instead of son her, daughter her. You know what I'm saying? When he is a TKO board member and be like, and she's like in a position of authority, it's like just for the kayfabe protection of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have that because he was very professional and like just talking to her as a general manager. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's why I'm like, I'd rather him exalt. If you were the final boss, again, final boss doesn't need to be an asshole all the time.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, if she remains general manager still, he needs to undermine her.
Oh, that would be fire. Yeah.
He needs to daughter her.
Mm-hmm.
And not just her. He needs to do that to Adam Pearce. He needs to do that to Nick Aldis.
This is
like
you're right now.
He needs the son Triple H.
You're booking world heavyweight champion Rock. That's what I think that is. Like that falls directly in line when he defeats Cody at Mania, if that's gonna happen or whatever is gonna happen. But like that's the ultimate final boss that you're talking about, and him going on his own reign of terror. That's what that sounds like to me. If we're co-booking this right now,
you don't even need the belt to do that. He could do that as just being the TKO board member.
Yeah, he could. Sure.
Like again, that The Rock at a certain point will be the new Vince McMahon as far as television. I don't know what he's been doing outside of his life, but as far as television character, don't be surprised The Rock being the next Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
But enough with the WWE talk. Moody, take us into the coffee shop.
The coffee shop. Man, it's amazing. We both got the same top shelf up here. The return of Kenny Omega, like finally to AEW after a year and a half. And like, this is top shelf for me just for like the shoot of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I got emotional, like him talking about like his diverticulitis because personally, I know I never told you this, but my granddad, he had stomach ulcers and diverticulitis also like in his old age, and that exact same thing happened to him. They had to remove like a third of his stomach and like all of the freaking like they said it was like 3 feet of intestine or something like that. So that exact same thing, it just made me think of my granddad, which is why I got emotional. And I was just like, God damn. I'm like, because yeah, I love also the fact that it was Will Ospreay that comes out there for the save. You know, Don Callis comes out there, and attacks him. Ominous music shows up. or actually he goes after Don Callis. You know, Don Callis' family starts beating him up. But because I truly don't know if Kenny has another world title reign in him, or even if he can return to like the best bout machine, you know, that whole title that he had or nickname that he had. Especially knowing, like, I mean, granted, my granddad was obviously like 70 plus when this happened. He ain't wrestling nobody, but
Yeah.
it just makes me question, you know, how hard can he actually go, you know, in the ring? And I don't want him to overextend himself. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when guys return from broken necks and shit, you're just like, be careful, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I love the fact that Will Ospreay came out there for the save, because right now, like, we had him as, you know, technician of the year / like wrestler of the year, like last year, every single night. That's what Kenny Omega was doing back in like 2013, 2014. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Will Ospreay is doing that now. So I thought that was a good spot. They even got like holy shit chants and stuff. Maybe there's a match. They've already even had a match, you know, previously. So I don't necessarily need to see that. But like, obviously, if we can go, I mean, Kenny's saying he can go. I'm here for Kenny. You know what I mean? I just wish him well, and maybe get a Continental. That's what it is. He's going for the Continental title. That's him and Okada 4 or 5. That would be Okada and him for the 5th time from like their legendary matches back in New Japan. So that's what we're building to. It's going to be Okada and Omega again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have this at Top Shelf as well, and it's mostly from the shoot factor of it, of just, hey, welcome back, and I'm glad that you're healthy enough to, you know, be back working to whatever capacity that you feel that you're capable of. I believe he was at Russell Dynasty last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was his actual first return match.
Yeah, and he had a match, right? Because I remember he was bloodied after that. So, and again, he was brawling.
Yep.
This week, he got out as soon as Don Callis came out. He came out, he ran, chased them, got on top, started throwing some punches, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, so Kenny looks like he's gonna be working.
Yeah.
That's what's up too. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever capacity that you want to come back in, come back in. If you just want to come back and just be a talker, fine. I don't care. This is kind of a situation where I kind of take this back to where I always say this is the moment where I finally understood how to be a wrestling fan. It's when Triple H came back after tearing his fucking quad.
The quad injury, yeah.
Because I was like, prior to that, as like a 10, 8, 9-year-old watching wrestling, and you just see Triple H, you're like, this guy's terrible. I hate him. Why does he keep screwing over The Rock and stuff like that? And it's like, then he tears his knee, and then he's out for 9 months. And then all of a sudden, he comes back at MSG, and there's just like, yo, welcome back, Triple H, man. I miss you, bro. Where you been, man? We needed you here, man. As much as I hated you, I'm a fan, man. You're a good bad guy. Like, I can't hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I really clicked to me. I'm like, yo, there is a way to like the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Kenny is a bad guy here, but that's when you kind of realize it's just bigger than the actual TV show. This is like, hey, welcome back, because we really missed you having you here, Triple H. Hey, welcome back, Kenny, because we really miss having you here. In whatever capacity that you're able to come back, it's great to have you back. Even, again, Nikki Bella, surprise. Welcome back. You don't even have to ever step in the ring. You don't have to cut a promo, no nothing. Just the fact that you're here, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, WWE wrestling is a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to always agree, but when we come to watch this thing that we all enjoy, hey, man, what's good?
It's the same thing with like any sport. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's sports entertainment. Like, nobody wants to see DeMar Hamlin go down in the middle of a freaking football game. Nobody wants to see Joe Theismann break his freaking leg. And then you have the opposite team literally screaming to the sideline, like, hey, like, nobody wants to see injuries or people go down. Like, unfortunately,
play the Bucks this weekend. You don't think I was hyped to see Mike Evans get 1,000 yards last week?
After dealing with injury again, you know what I'm saying? Because we know that's a legend.
That dude, Mike Evans, has torched us so many times over his career. And I'm like, yo, but how many times you ever going to see a guy get 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his career?
For real.
I was happy that he got his 1,000, and I'm playing against this dude. I'm not playing. we are playing against this dude tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, man. Sometimes it's just bigger than the moment.
It's bigger than it's bigger than wrestling. It's bigger than sports in general, for sure. And not for nothing, I just looked up Kenny real quick. He's 41. So, and his birthday just passed. So he got some years left. He ain't like a Jericho, you know, or like knocking on 50 or anything like that. So
looking like
not
Jericho.
Necessarily prime, but you can be like late. Kenny did look a little old in the face also. Like, I'm just like, dang, it really has. That also put it over to me. I'm like, it really has been like basically 2 years, because even previous to that, when he left a year and a half ago, he was dealing with vertigo issues. You know what I'm saying? He took time off for that. Like, I think that was like 4 months. So it's really been like, Kenny really hasn't been around for like 2 years. But
you know who's also looking old, or who looks old now, or is showing a little bit olderness? Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
he shaved off the mustache but kept the beard, and it's just like, bruh, you look like an old Ghanaian dad.
Yeah.
You look
like got the raising the young ones,
dad, bro. But yeah, top shelf of the week for the coffee shop, unanimous. What else you got?
Yeah. You actually beat me to the punch on this. I don't know how I didn't put it on here. I would have definitely Ospreay, Buddy Matthews.
Yeah.
That would have been my primo, or I'll just put it now. But primo just for like in-match stuff, you know. I already went on a soliloquy about like how Kenny Omega was that, and now that's Will Ospreay. And Buddy Matthews is also in his prime too. I fucking loved him back in when he was Buddy Murphy. Like Murphy's Law finisher, fucking still love it. You know what I mean? So I did think it was weird that Ospreay put him over, like face-wise. And like trying to like push that like face turn in Buddy Matthews, and he's like, oh, you don't need a leader or whatever. So I'm like, I guess maybe is Malachi done? That's been in and out of the news or whatever, that he's been hurt, and he's like, I'm not fucking hurt, you know what I'm saying? They're just not using me. So clearly there's just like a business rift for Malachi and AEW. So
seems like he might be coming back to WWE.
Hey, I want to see Black Mass wherever. Exactly. And his wife is there. So it just makes sense. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of I guess I want to say I didn't like it, honestly. It gave me, like, as a fan, like watching Buddy Murphy and Will, like in kayfabe, it gave me a little cringe. I'm like, I don't know why.
Actually, that was the most intriguing aspect to me, because again, like, it's easy to see these two guys on a matchup and be like, okay, I know I'm getting some high quality,
H2O,
high quality H2O, high quality wrestling in this contest. So like, that's the easy part. The interesting part was that was the interesting part was that interaction between Ospreay and Buddy Matthews after the match. That's why I don't see. Like, again, it's easy. Like, it's unfair for me to say that like AEW. Like, if I just to grade the match, the quality of the match, yeah, it's a primo. But that's a lot of AEW matches because they're just really good at wrestling, right? And for me, it's like, okay, how's the story? And I'm like, with Ospreay having that conversation with Buddy Matthews, it gets me intrigued. No, Ospreay's across this show a lot. So it is seeming like they are pushing Ospreay as like almost like the Cody of the show.
Yeah, for sure. So
it's an interest. I'm curious. That's why I got it mid-rising.
I'm not going to dispute the fact that it's intriguing. I just didn't like if I think about it more, I don't like, because I guess that's low-key him sunning him. Like, oh, you don't need a leader. Like, this man can't make up, his own mind. Mm-hmm. Like, I would rather Buddy Matthews, because we know him as heel right now. I mean, I guess that goes to like, the business rift in AEW. We don't know if Malachi's coming back or not, but like, I would rather Buddy Matthews big himself up and say something like that versus Will Ospreay doing that to him. You know what I
Hey,
mean? So I think
it's
that's
1 week. You never know what Buddy Matthews going. He may like, hey,
exactly. That's why I
I
didn't
don't
like.
like you, son. Push that in the third. I can make up my own mind. Blah blah blah. Like he can
But
literally
that's why
just
I'm
say
like
shit he's
that.
saying next week.
That's why I didn't like the handshake. That's why I cringe.
Yeah.
That's why. So 'cause I'm like, okay, so you're a face now. That's what you just told me. But I mean, like you said, anything can happen. But if anything, for just that, I was like, ugh. That's all. That's
I get it.
Nikki Pitts, you know, picky nits, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Oh, we both got this for mids, but the Casino Gauntlet matches.
Yeah.
Winning Chris Statlander, winning the women's, and Powerhouse Hobbs winning the men's.
Interesting choices.
Yeah, seriously. Just because, well,
They
Chris
both
Statlander,
lost their mid-title matches.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what. Yep, you're right. You already beat me to it. It's like, granted, I think Chris makes a lot of sense to me, just because she's done a lot of work in the last year. She was also like, I think she was definitely like one of the. We didn't get this specific, but AEW Women's Wrestlers of the Year. Like, she had that rivalry with Willow, got her over. She did all of Mercedes' best work is with Chris Statlander, like from this year or last year. So she was really out here grinding and putting on good matches. So that makes sense to me for her to get like a AEW title shot. Not to say that she's gonna win, but if anybody's like, she's I'll give you this, like on some Drew shit, you know, like Drew was really grinded and ended up in losing efforts, but we ain't gonna sit here and ignore the work that he actually put in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that's where that makes sense to me. But her getting the pin on Willow, I was like, damn, almost on some, you know, similar to Kaylani getting pinned by Stephanie Balcour. It's like, shit, okay. We using the big names. It's not Harley Cameron or, you know, somebody else from the back who's like just happens to be in the end. So that's why I really enjoyed Chris winning.
She wasn't gonna pin Toni Storm.
I mean, she could have. Tony's a rookie. Tony's a rookie. Oh, she's so stupid. I love her.
In Tony's mind, she's a rookie. As
amnesia.
As a watcher of the show, you know something wrong with Tony. You know?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with Tony. But
three-time AEW Women's Champion. No idea.
I think the most intriguing thing is the fact that like both Chris Statlander and Powerhouse Hobbs, literally the same night, lost their mid-card title matches.
Mm-hmm.
Then their next title match is a world championship match. And you earned it, you know, through these Casino Gauntlet matches. Doesn't give me much faith in you in either one. No, I mean, I do like the fact to see that like Powerhouse Hobbs is getting an opportunity. Because I'm looking through the list for the men's side. There was Adam Cole, Jay White, Wheeler Yuta, Ricochet, Daniel Garcia, Roderick Strong, Lance Archer, Kyle O'Reilly, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
If you had to probably bet on it, it's probably either Hangman, Jay White, Adam Cole, maybe Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah. Wheeler Yuta's like the deep cut, like long-term booking, that I would love.
Wheeler Yuta would be like the fifth choice out of that.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been a good one. I just booked that in my head. He wins this, and then he just like Moxley's just like lay down, and he has to do it. Oh, that would have been sick. It's just,
it's an interesting aspect. I like the push. It seems like I like the push for each of them. I don't think they're gonna win, but I like the push, and I like the fact that you are getting these opportunities. Because again, that's all it takes. You don't need to win it. It's just, hey, can you make the audience believe that if you got another shot at this, you can do it?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think both Chris Statlander and Powerhouse Hobbs can do that. Though Powerhouse Hobbs, you got to win another title before you graduate to the World Championship.
So. Exactly. I will say it's definitely Chris Statlander's odds are definitely better. Whatever the betting odds are, it's definitely closer on Mariah May and Chris Statlander than it is Powerhouse Hobbs versus Moxley when he has an entire faction backing him up.
Yeah, yeah. But again, Mariah May, she could find something fugazi to help her out and capture that win. Um, that's it for me at the coffee shop. I see you got some shake though.
Yeah. Cope, the artist formerly known as Edge, still the rated R superstar though. Um, just getting fired up, like going after FTR. I thought that crowd was so fucking flat. That's where I got pissed off, and like it put like that was just a bad wrestling crowd. Where he's like, I think, like we know as you were just talking about how to be a good fan and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
like the points of emphasis, like in a promo, and it's like you took out Daniel Bryan, and it's like boo, you took out um whoever. And then he's like, but your biggest mistake was going after FTR. And crickets, literally zero response. I was like, damn. I was like, y'all have not put over this friendship enough. Like, that shit is crazy. Because it has been like 3 weeks, but they go back to WWE. Obviously, they worked, I think they had a crossover back then at some point,
Hmm.
or were at least in the building together. But so I didn't appreciate that from the crowd, but he ends up getting jumped by the Death Riders because what else would happen? You hear the Death Rider anthem like go off, and you out there by yourself. Like, I mean, not to say that it's. I mean, you just generally got to say it's not smart. Like when you're talking about wrestlers and like, especially if you're an experienced vet like Edge, like a double-digit world champion, you should be known. Like you should know to have backup with you. Like there's no reason to go ahead and know you're going to be put in a bulldog choke and get choked out and then just depend on somebody else. I mean, I get you got to stand on your own type shit, but you also understand that he's not playing dirty. You did a whole, or he's not playing clean. Like you just did a whole promo on that. So I think that's just a vet mistake. Honestly, that's why it's in shit. Because I'm like, Cope, that wasn't smart, and the crowd was just not giving him anything at all.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on this. I just don't care for this segment.
Yeah.
The Death Riders, they've taken a precipitous drop as far as like we've spent too much time trying to figure out their motives,
Mhm.
and at this point, I just don't care anymore.
I,
And
I
then
put. Oh,
the
sorry, go ahead.
Edge and the or Adam Cope or whatever you want to call him and the FTR. I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't care. Like I've seen Edge for over 20 years. I'm good.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of like, because like you said, is Powerhouse Hobbs an actual threat versus Cope, who we know is a double-digit world champion? You know what I'm saying? It's just, I guess, the realism aspect of it. But or the yeah, I guess that's what
He
I
should
mean by it. But
Cope at Edge does not need to be holding any titles in AEW.
I mean, he already held TBS, and I don't think he doesn't need another one for sure. He definitely doesn't need the world title. But to put him in that spot, there's nothing wrong with putting him in that spot versus Moxley. Um, my other shake is the Hurt Syndicate. I actually like the segment. I don't like the end of it where it's like private parties out there celebrating, and they actually have their little VIP actual private party on
Yeah.
stage, as their title celebration, and everything's hunky dory. Hurt Syndicate come out. But they say they're coming for the tag team titles, and I'm like, I wanted more for y'all. Granted, that's all it is. And there's something to be said. I mean, you just said like we've already been looking at Cope for 15, 20 years. Same thing with Lashley and like these guys. But I
The
still have
difference
faith
between
enough in
Lashley
it.
and Edge is that Lashley hasn't had the career as Edge. I said there's no reason
Okay.
for Lashley to come to AEW and not just immediately go for the AEW title. So the fact that you're going after the tag team titles, it's like, bro,
That's what I did. Because I said I
you
was
could have
booking
just
him
stayed.
Continental.
You could have just
Or,
stayed at WWE. Going to like again at this point in his career, it's world title or bust. There is no mid card or beneath that. Like for Lashley at this point, it's world title or bust.
I don't necessarily, but I don't agree with that personally for the Hurt Syndicate, because you gotta remember when the Hurt Syndicate was at their peak was also just like Drew McIntyre. That was the pandemic area when they were in the fucking Thunderdome shit. Like nobody was there. So like just the fact that we got I'm glad to see them obviously still being on TV. It's not like they've been forgotten. You know, it's only been like 2-3 months or whatever it is. So there's plenty of like 2025 for Tony to fuck this up, obviously. But you know, for me, I do want to see them hold titles. Not necessarily. I mean, Bobby can hold the AEW World Title. I believe that. Like, if we talk about faction on faction, at least, you know, Shelton is here, and they're gonna have a new boy, whether that's Ricochet or whether that's Powerhouse Hobbs or somebody. There's gonna be somebody else in the Hurt Syndicate, or we believe that. So, I believe Lashley as an AEW champion, but once again, do you have faith in Tony to get him there? No. That's why I'm capping that expectation just to save myself the heartache. Because I believe that he could even get a world title shot. But is he going to win that and get a serious booked reign? Is he going to get a reign like Swerve if he does that? I mean, you would hope so, but I wouldn't bet on it. You know what I'm saying? Just all of those things lining up. You know what I mean? It would be awesome.
Part of the problem with sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, you know, obviously we're fans of the Hurt Syndicate and stuff, and now they're finally in front of a live crowd. Yeah. So it's like, if Lashley is able to hold the AEW championship up, that would be fucking awesome. I'm all here for it. But I'm also with them slightly, I mean, they're like Evolution. You know what I'm saying? I think they should be treated like Evolution, like as a serious threat. And so far they have been. So it's just that maybe more time and you can build towards that. But like, yeah, I would have liked a singles title, like go after the international championship, or you know, I had Okada, either way, Continental, either one, just a singles title. But that's why it's in shake, and I was slightly
I'll clarify. I don't mind the faction of the Hurt Syndicate having the tag team titles. I don't want Bobby to be the tag team champ.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a tag team championship with Bobby and Shelton.
Yeah. Because once you get slotted in that tag team division, that's when you get like underappreciated. Like seriously, at least on AEW right now.
You need if you give, like you said, Powerhouse Hobbs or Ricochet eventually straightens his act out. You know, within the kayfabe nature of it, that he's able to join the Hurt Syndicate. Fine. Like Bobby does not need to be holding no goddamn AEW World Tag Team titles.
Yeah,
it's World Championship or bust, in my opinion. I do agree with you. Like there is a cap. Part of it is on Tony. The other part, it's on Bobby and MVP.
Yeah.
If you want to make a comparison of like, not saying that as far as just the work relationship, MVP and Bobby could be compared to Roman and Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Where they probably have a lot of especially with them being in AEW, have a lot of authority on their own characters and how they want it to play out and how they want to kind of move forward with it. Where I think Evolution is a good example that you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Way too one-dimensional of a character.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way too one-dimensional. And that's one of the problems with the Hurt Syndicate. It's like, we like the Hurt Syndicate, but we need to see an evolution of the Hurt Syndicate, not just a repeat of what you guys just did in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that cap is Tony. The other cap is y'all need to be a little bit more creative as far as like what this Hurt Syndicate is. Other than just like, oh, black guys in suits that, like, it was like, okay, where's the substance though?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's got some ways. I'm not saying Bobby's run so far has been a disappointment, but it ain't something to write home about.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't lost yet. So if anything, you're doing it right. You know what I mean? So Swerve, like beating Swerve, that's big. And right now, I think there's no way that Private Party is winning. When we talk about the kayfabe just threat, Shelton and Bobby are way bigger, stronger, and experienced than them. So outside of some type of fluke, I mean, I'm taking them right now. So at least they're being booked dominantly so far. Shelton has taken L's, but he's the elder statesman, and
Yeah.
we understand that. So that is even consistent within storyline. But
Again,
Bobby
I
has
go
done nothing.
Bobby is just like, there's just too many times where it's like, why are your paths not crossing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that Bobby hasn't even thought about the AEW World Championship is just mind-boggling, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Or like just had more interactions with like the bigger names. Like why haven't, like you said, like why hasn't he bumped into like?
He was like, "Oh, I'm messing with Ricochet. Oh, I'm like."
Well,
what
been
kind of
engaging.
syndicate is this? What kind of syndicate is this? Again, when we talk about the Elite or the Death Riders, and they talk about, "Oh, this is our company," how can you say that and not have any interaction with the EVPs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just a weird disconnect of like, you're saying these things when there's clearly somebody on the other side that has literally been claiming this position or this spot. It seems like there should be some cross paths, and it doesn't. Everybody just stays in their own individualized lanes, and it's just
they
like,
just stay. Yep. Why don't we see like what is it, Undisputed Kingdom, like square up against Death Riders backstage when we know that they're like 4 deep? There's like 4 of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they're slotted into their mid card, or like mid low, mid, and mid high tiers.
yeah.
And then you just gotta, like, the Elite is like a S tier, obviously, and so is Death Riders. And then you got like, who else is it would have been Bang Bang Gang. They'd be like A tier, I think. I loved Bang Bang Gang when they were together. But they just stayed tag team championship, and that's when Jay White was initially like putting on his great slew of matches and like won the TBS. He won the international championship during that time. So they all had gold, and Juice Robinson was like IWGP, like US champion. So that entrance was fucking awesome. But either way,
yeah, I think
that's the problem. They need to have more crossover. I agree with you. They need more crossover.
Hurt Syndicate, I think for a lot of this,
Yeah.
if you're going to be talking that grandiose, sometimes you got to see the vines get spread throughout the entire show. If you're called the Hurt Syndicate, I want to see you act like a syndicate and not just act like 3 friends just acting like bullies.
I'm wondering if like my other thought of Hurt Syndicate booking is like, I mean, because their whole thing is we hurt people. Like they're just the reverse of the APA. APA was like protection. These guys are hitmen, maybe, but they don't seem like, because like they make money and they break backs, and that's all that they care about. So it's like, all right, are we gonna get paid? But you got to show me that even still. Like there's gonna be a story where you're getting paid off to like beat the shit out of somebody, and that just takes you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You got to give us continuous evolution of these factions specifically, like you said, because you come out of beating Swerve, Bobby. You come out of beating, Ricochet, Bobby. But the Hurt Syndicate is effectively still the same. You know what I'm saying? Outside of like an interaction with Mercedes Moné, and it's like, that's the only time when we've seen their kind of softer side, because they're actually talking to a woman. You usually don't see that. But yeah, there needs to be more faction interaction. There you go. Quote that. Faction interaction.
It's not. It's more of like, if you're gonna say something, back it up. I don't want to hear the Death Riders talking about, we own this company, this is our time, this, that, and the third, and then you just stay in this little bubble. You know what I'm saying? And then the EVPs. You're Matt and I forget the Jackson's names.
Matt and Nick. Yeah.
You're Matt and Nick Jackson. You're Okada. You guys have all this power, but y'all just this little bubble that doesn't interact with anybody. Like everyone just stays in their own bubble, and it's like, when is the crossness going to happen? If everybody says it's their show, whose show is it? It's
and that's where we agree that it's a crime, because at the bare minimum, because what happened was the Death Riders showed up, they killed Danielson, and they like basically ran off the Elite. That's what happened. And in kayfabe, the elite, or I mean, not in kayfabe, like the elite are just taking, and shoot, thank you, and shoot, they're just taking like a physical break, I think, because
Yeah.
they were like tag team champions and all that stuff for so long, but at least beat them down. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just like
Mention it on
them
the
just
mic.
running off.
Talk shit about them.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
keep it in our brains that hey, these dudes were running this show. We ran them off.
Exactly.
Like, give us this, like, it's just this, like, oh, we run the show now. We're the badasses. And I'm like, okay. Okay, you unhinged John Moxley. Okay. You've been doing the
Yeah.
same gimmick for 15 years now. Okay. Again, it doesn't feel like
It's not the same. It's I'd say that's a shade.
cohesive group. It doesn't feel like I'm talking about in general. Everything just feels like everyone's working on. Again, I always say AEW feels like a bunch of independent contractors trying to get their shit off. It doesn't feel like a cohesive group of people trying to put on a cohesive show. Everything feels detached. Everything feels detached.
And I was like, that would have to go to the writing then for sure, because that for you to have this great, obviously, we're not even disputing that these are obviously awesome wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? You have got to make it feel more organic, just like we were talking about this previously with WWE, almost similar, not as bad as this, but like similarly some years ago, when it's like, yo, what happened to like those, more intriguing backstage segments, like tying things together, or like why don't we get more shots of, you know, like they've been doing it a lot more, like making it feel like alive. You're having this interview over here, and and then somebody gets attacked over here. You know what I mean? So it's like let's put effort into that, and I think that would go a long way. So AEW, those are our recommendations
You gotta
to you.
do it better. I think AEW, to put it politely, not even politely, just a little bit more eloquently, you have to do a better job of creating a living world.
Yeah.
That's where it's like you play a video game, right? And if you go into like the town center and it's just like not bustling, and it's like, oh, like it's not because people are sleeping. It's like, no, like the coders of the video game just didn't put enough. They didn't spend enough time just putting in people, NPCs, to give you a feel like you're living in a real world, rather than you're just going to a spot on a marker on a map, and then okay, reach this spot. Let me go to this next spot, and then in between there's nothing in between, and then I get to the next town, and there's again 5 people there saying the same generic shit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I need you to create a living world. That's what makes a game like Elder Scrolls, or what's the big one where like the death
Skyrim. And you just said
Skyrim, or any one of those games where it's like you felt like you're in these living worlds. It's like, oh wow, like
everything is connected.
I had this conversation with this blacksmith, and he told me this, that, and the third. And it's like, oh, I'm playing a video game, but it feels like I'm really living in this world. It doesn't feel like that with AEW a lot of times. It feels like we're just hitting check marks on a script, and everybody's in their own individual buckets, and those buckets will never cross paths. And not to say WWE is always crossing paths, but to the point, there's a living world where we know things are always happening, whether it be online and Twitter conversations or backstage segments or promos on the ring. Like there's things that are happening that make you feel like things are always happening, even when they're not happening. They're happening.
Yeah.
So it's again, I think when you have Tony and then the talent probably having equal footing on decision making on their characters and their storylines, I think you might be coming into issues like this. So I don't know what to do. I don't have the answers for them.
Yeah. Well, that's our AEW Dynamite review. Bodega. I got one entry
coffee shop.
into the coffee shop. I got one entry into the Book of Wrestling. You want to hit that music?
Yeah, I like the music. This week on the Book of Wrestling, what you got?
Very appropriate. We just got a new era of Monday Night Raw. Guess what today is? Today is the actual debut of Monday Night Raw, the first ever episode back in January 11th, 1993. So 32 years ago, the very first Monday Night Raw took place at the Hammerstein Ballroom in Manhattan and would go on to become the world's longest running episodic TV series. Obviously, if you're watching this podcast, you already know that, or listening, wherever you are around the world. Yokozuna defeated Coco Beware in the very first Raw match before Shawn Michaels retained his Intercontinental Championship against Max Moon. The Steiner brothers made short work of the Executioners, and The Undertaker defeated Damien Demento in the first Raw main event.
Yeah.
32 years.
And then there was a whole little running segment of Bobby the Brain Heenan trying to get into Monday Night Raw. That was fun too. So, and it's funny. I think Raw back in the day for like the first like at least 2 years was only like an hour.
Yeah.
So, if you go back, you could really jam through those pretty quickly. Yeah, man. And when we were like what 4,000 episodes later?
Yeah, something like that. Whatever
Crazy.
it is.
Crazy. Yeah. Actually, let me get a quick
50. Well, it's 50 episodes a year basically, and it's been 30 years.
Raw, real quick. Wikipedia Raw, real quick. I was 1650.
1650.
Yeah, I could have sworn we had like Raw 3000.
So I thought it was 2000.
Oh, hold on. How many
let me.
episodes of Monday Night Raw? 1650.
Okay.
Hey,
how long? Oh, no. Raw
Monday
1500. It was Raw 1500. That was like 3 years ago. That's what that was. And they did SmackDown 1000 a while back too, like similar around that kind of same time. So that's what that was. It hit like 1500, I think, because that would have been 3-4 years ago.
I could have sworn we had like Raw 3000.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like forever. It's literally been our entire like cognizant lives since 1993. So
1650 is crazy. That this past week's episode was the 1650th episode. That's crazy. Crazy times, man. Crazy. Well, Book of Wrestling was short this week. I didn't add much to that docket. So I think.
Well, the thing is like it was so like when you talk about the first episode of Raw, and I look at the other stuff, I'm like, well, nothing else is like in this ballpark. You know what I mean? Like that's presidential off top. So I was like, that can stand on its own. You know what I'm saying? We can next year when we get around this time, we'll use. You don't want to use them all. You know what I mean?
We can't use them all, man. You gotta keep ourselves at least a little bit of ammunition for next year. Yeah. So I think let's move over to the boutique SmackDown. Second episode. That is 3 hours. Last week's episode was this first 3 hour episode of SmackDown. Now Raw's 3 hours. SmackDown's 3 hours.
I can't wait for this era.
Raw is dynamic, according to Triple H. Raw can be anywhere from 2 hours and 45 minutes to maybe 3 hours and 10 minutes.
320. Yeah.
All
push
depends
it over.
on what they want to do. But Raw and SmackDown are at least 3 hours, and NXT is still in their 2 hours. What did you like from the boutique?
Man, I've been caping for her since NXT, yo. Put some respect on Tiffy's name. Like when she came out there and said that, you damn right. And then, I mean, obviously it doesn't surprise me. Like Nia comes out and like, cause it's so funny because it's like, this is 2025 now.
Don't forget to say where you have this at.
I said Primo already. Primo. This is the best thing on the show from.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's Primo. It's the best thing on the show. Because all of 2024, we were like, Queen Nia, right? You know, winning in SummerSlam, winning that title like she rightfully deserved. Dog, it's officially Tiffy time. 2025 is the year of Tiffy. And for her to come out, Nia comes out and she's like, do it. It's smart. And give me the title back. My immediate reaction, I said this out loud. I was like, such a heel. Get out of here. Like, this is Tiffy's championship. What are you talking about? Like, get out of here, Nia. So I just love her standing on business, honestly. Like, those ladies come out. And how does it end? With the prettiest moonsault ever on top of all you stank ass hoes. Here you go. Like this is what I came for.
You'll
We
be
are
getting a letter from
into.
Dr. Umar.
Hey, that's fine. I'm not saying I want to marry her. I'm not saying that.
There
I'm
was
saying I'm
4
ready for
black
the
women.
reign.
There was like at least 3 black women in that ring and 1 Latino woman. And you're like, I'm picking the white one.
Hey, she the one holding the gold right now. She literally just got a pay increase. So
It's funny when she said, like, you just thought I was a dumb blonde. I'm like, no, I still think that. I still think that.
Yeah, right.
The amount of times that you try to cash in the most dumbest moments, it's like, come on now.
True. I think she is a face, right? So at least I think she is.
I don't.
Yeah, that's what's weird. So it's like, damn, because we were booking her to like face turn on Nia and like do the whole Clueless thing. Like, hopefully we still get like the Clueless, Alicia Silverstone look from her, like wearing plaid and all that type of stuff. So I'm excited for the reign. It was great.
Has it in her closet. She wore that one time. Like she has it in her closet. So
it was that yellow fit. Yeah, that yellow one is like definitely Clueless inspired.
But I mean, it's interesting. When it comes to Nia, she's the face. When she's facing any of those other women in that ring, she's the heel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Between Bayley, Naomi, and Bianca, she's the heel.
Well, when you come out and tell somebody to give me the championship back, that's a heel thing to do. No face has ever said that.
But
like she's Nia being a heel with Tiffany really too.
A face. Nia had one opportunity being a face, and she was the big girl, and Alexa Bliss was
bullying her. Yeah,
but Nia is, and Nia for the most part is probably going to be a heel, and I think it's a good position for Tiffany to be in, where it's like where you could be that flexible in character, where your nature of heel and face is all dependent on who you're going against. Mm-hmm. Though, again, harkening back to Monday Night Raw, and again, where WWE is as a business, it's a right-leaning business. It's a conservative business.
Well,
Bianca is the star of the division, up there with
for sure
Rhea and Charlotte. But Bianca was a champion and went to Puerto Rico and got booed against Io Sky for no reason, for absolutely no reason. Tiffy literally debuts in January. You go to Elimination Chamber, she gets the biggest pop. I'm just saying, as much as we could be like, oh, WWE audience, yeah, boo Hulk Hogan, they're not racist. You sure about that?
Certain pocket. I mean, we talk about it's a worldwide, audience. It's a WWE universe. So
you sure about that? Because again, Bianca, if you put Bianca versus Tiffany Stratton, and Bianca is clearly the face in this, and Tiffany is clearly the heel, Tiffany Stratton will get cheered. Bianca will get booed. So that is a interesting line I like to see WWE toe around. Is how are you going to do this? When a lot of times, again, this is no shot at Tiffany. I think this is more people's prejudice, kind of living through Tiffany. You don't need to take that apple. You don't need to take a bite out of that apple.
Seriously. Because obviously, I mean, I'm a black man. Obviously, I'm not cheering Tiffany for that reason. You know what I mean? There's people
some people like they can't separate the show. It's like you can boo her. It's fine to boo her. You can't just boo her. And if the lines are clear and someone like Bianca is the face, there's no reason for Bianca to be being booed. This is not I'm booing Bianca because I like Tiffany. If that's the case, that's a weird reason to be booing. So again, it's going to be an interesting way to see how they maneuver with this kind of in the middle heel face kind of position that Tiffany, it feels like where she's going to be in. But I do think they're going to get away from that. Your best bet is to make her a face.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We shall see. For mids, what we got up here?
I'll start with Motor Machine Guns defeating A-Town Down Under. And I like this because this just continues my crusade of saying, get these fake-ass tag teams out the fucking way. This better be the end of A-Town Down Under. I only want real tag teams to be tag teaming. I don't want these made-up pairings to get any more shine. And MCMG, I feel like, have been doing that, and they're a standout in the tag team division. Their mic work can get a little better, but talking on the mic somewhere else and then coming to the WWE is entirely different. So I'll give you some grace on that. But as far as what they're doing in the tag team division, yeah, knock off all of these fake ass tag teams. A-Town Down Under, you're done. I don't want to see any more. Hey, let's just put two people together and hope they work as a tag team, and then we'll figure out what happens in the future. No, only real tag teams. And so for them to basically dominate A-Town Down Under like that, you get mid-rising.
As you bring that up, it just like, because my first thought was like, well, first off, I'm glad that MCMG won, because I think they have crossed the boundary for me into like, actual tag team. I mean, they got a tag team name. That's the official marker, right? I mean, they've won tag team gold multiple times. So they're an official tag team. However, how long has this gone that they're supposed to be breaking up because they're trash? You know what I mean? That's where the rubber meets the road for me with what you're saying, which is where I'm like, even though I like I don't like Sue, I'm not in love with them as a tag team, but they're believable to me as a tag team. I'm still done with them for now. Like, they should both go their separate ways. You know what I mean? Like, Austin Theory is a former United States champion, maybe a little early, but they can stand on their own at this point. They both got the talk and the walk and everything. So let them define their individual characters at this point. Yeah, I like the fact that we're getting a put, like, just to continue this about the tag teams, because of course the match in ring was beautiful. I love that move. I think it's called Made in Detroit. Just their like standing combination that they do until the very end. Like, he kicks him in the back of the leg and then does like a somersault, holds his head up, and then he kicks him in the drop kicks him in the face.
Yeah,
that's Made in Detroit.
That's where I'm like, that is tag team wrestling.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying. They're your favorite tag team's favorite tag team. That's a real thing. It was like them and the Bucks that were doing like the tag team, like super like fast pace. Clearly two bodies, one mind, and I like
really
that phrase.
Coordinated as a team, because like again, the Hardys, they would do that where. They would like one guy would like split the leg open, like Jeff would like split the leg open, and then he would like, kind of do that low blow drop, and then Matt would come off the top rope with the leg drop. It's like, yes, give me some kind of combination tag team moves.
Exactly.
The greatest fucking tag team finisher is the 3D.
Yeah, right.
Like, in my opinion, I love the 3D. Like this, and the 3D is better than the 1D.
Yeah.
It's better. Just the way Bola is coming off the ropes, and like I'm just like, bruh. That's tag team wrestling, not two individual people just trying to get their shit off.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And then Skull and Bones, their finisher, that works for me. Just the neck breaker, splash that they do. Yeah, great stuff. Do I have them on here? I think I'll just take it into my shake a little bit, but because this is all about determining who the number one contenders are going to be for the tag team championships against DIY. And we got Los Garzas actually beat Pretty Deadly. I was pretty upset about that. But also, first off, surprised about they're just called Los Garzas. And I'm like, all right, that's just the specific tag team name. But I'm like, there is no mention of
part of the Garza family. Angel Garza, and then like
Berto Carrillo.
but it's all like kind of familiar. It's a very family. It's a family name. It's like
Okay, all right,
it's no
sure.
different than like a bloodline type of kind of name. So
Yeah, like,
that's
because
fair.
obviously it made sense when like Eddie and Chavo, they were Los Guerreros. They're both
Yeah,
Guerreros. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. But I'm like, your name's Carrillo. So that's what I was like, okay.
yeah. I forget what the
But
relationship is between. Uh, I'll look it up as you go, though.
oh yeah. But also note two, Umberto Carrillo, remember when he was like babyface, like in that on the bright colors like Kofi was when he first showed up? I'm just
Hmm.
like, no homo, but I was like, yo, he looked like Mr. Steal Your Girl right now. I was like, this is a glow up beyond glow ups. Cause I'm like, I just noticed this. So I'm like, yeah, they actually look like pretty imposing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if maybe I'm just saying he put on muscle or something, or Angel also put on muscle, but they look pretty imposing versus pretty deadly. And the last thing,
They're
new
cousins.
finisher, they're cousins. Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah,
Uh,
their grandfather is Humberto Garza. Then he has three
oh,
children: Hector Garza, Humberto Garza Jr. Humberto Garza Jr. is Humberto Carrillo's father, and then
okay,
unidentified, according to Wikipedia. I'm looking at. We don't know. It's not listed who Angel Garza's dad is, but
okay.
they look like they're brothers with so their dads are they're cousins basically.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. Okay, there you go. A little family history right there.
Yeah.
And then note three, new finisher alert. This is a double press slam into I have it as the elevator. Shout out to Matt Morgan. That's one of my favorite finishers of all time, by the way.
Hmm.
Uh but that's the best thing I could call it, because really it's just like I can only call it like I guess a swinging net breaker. It's a double press into a swinging net breaker, but they stack Elton Prince so high, like on his shoulder and neck, that I'm like, yeah, that works. Like as simple as that is, you know what I'm saying? Talking about tag team wrestling and tag like tandem finishes and stuff. I'm like that's believable. Like that can put anybody down for sure. So I like that. I was just upset that pretty deadly. They still like they keep on. They're like the Chelsea Green or just comedy underdogs of the tag team. That I'm like, yeah, they got to get their WrestleMania moment
They'll,
one time. Like
they'll get there. They'll get there.
yeah, I know they will. I know they will. Like, I'm not pressed. I just hope they don't get, 6 months from now, it's like, oh, they get released. Because that they can also fall into that. You know what I mean?
No, I
So
think I think I think they're edging. They're the next Edge and Christian. That's Edge and Christian.
they're so funny. And it's just like when Elton got hurt and they had like the whole montage of him like, like getting healthy to get back in the ring because he separated his shoulder and he's like in the wheelchair, like trying to like stab a dummy in the eyes and he can't do it because his shoulder hurts. So, like he's like barely can like tag, and it's just like, man, I love these guys. So
This is where the third hour. This is going to be where the third hour actually helps, like guard the
yeah,
Liz
exactly.
and the
Yeah,
Pretty Deadlies of the world. This is where the third hour will help them. So
yeah.
that's
Hopefully
okay.
get some more shine for those guys because like yeah, let's
Yeah.
get them on screen. So but yeah,
The
that's
other
all I had
thing,
to say about that match.
yeah, the other thing that we got left on our mids, you have it listed as the Rogue Bloodline antics. I have mine called out LA Knight crossing paths with the new Bloodline. And I'll start off with first the LA Knight versus Shinsuke match. Thought that
Mhm.
was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. I'm liking where Shinsuke is at right now. I'm glad it kind of ended in a no contest because I was worried that if LA Knight got the win, that he's going to be giving he might be taking the belt from Shinsuke sooner rather than later. And so I'm
Yeah.
kind of glad that it ended with a no DQ, with the DQ of the bloodline interference. But then I'm also, my main point of why I have this in mid rising, I kind of like LA Knight having his issues with the bloodline, and it looks like Jacob Fatu specifically. Um, it again, LA Knight gets this comparison, but he's reminiscent of Stone Cold, and this feels like a Stone Cold issue. Like
Mhm.
as far as like how Stone Cold would approach this back in
How
the
he would
day,
approach it. Yeah, yeah.
LA Knight would approach this the same way, where he's just like, I don't really care for you guys, but you keep fucking with me, and I'm gonna keep fucking with you. And again, it's kind of like Drew, except Drew has a little bit more purpose. LA Knight is just like, don't play with me.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
basically.
saying? And if you keep playing with me, I'm gonna be a problem.
Open
Yeah.
up this can
And
of whoop ass. Yeah,
exactly. And
exactly.
so it's like I'm liking where this heading. LA Knight versus Jacob. I'm here for it. I'm here for that. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be here for that. So uh all in all to say, I'm glad Shinsuke didn't lose. I'm glad that he's been protected. It seems like he's gonna be holding on this belt for at least up until WrestleMania. Um
Mhm.
and I like the fact that LA Knight is it seems like taking a break from the title picture just to go handle some juicy opportunities with the new bloodline. So I'm here for it.
Mhm. I call this rogue bloodline antics just simply because Solo wasn't there. This is
Yeah.
the boat is running with no rudder. Like the motor's just going. So it's like all they know is beat the shit out of people we got problems with. So that's where it made sense for me. I like you saying like, or like from LA's point of view, being like specifically like having a problem with Jacob Fatu because as we know, Jacob Fatu is a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
And it's like whenever he goes off by himself, that's gonna be something. You know what I mean?
He nearly got he nearly got a championship match against Cody.
And that's where I'm like, because Solo should be, you would think, obviously, in that position as leader of New Bloodline. If he's not going to be in the world title picture, then he should be obviously going for the IC or United States title right now. And it's like, if who do you have in that? If Jacob and LA Knight actually do have that build up and number one contenders match for that, who you got in that? Because I'm pretty sure that's Jacob Fatu that's winning
Yeah,
that
round
match.
one, Jacob Fatu's killing LA Knight. LA Knight's
Exactly. So
gonna LA Knight's gonna be put into an ambulance, and we won't see him for 3 months.
yeah, there you go. So that's my point is like, and Shinsuke, yeah, he is the wayward samurai, but I'm pretty sure that this is exactly what I feared as far as like a transitional champion thing. Like you said, it's just before WrestleMania. Is he going to hold it till Mania? And even still, that's going to be a moment when he drops it. It just depends on who he's dropping it to, but that would be awesome.
I'll be fine for Shinsuke to drop it at Mania because when's the last time Shinsuke been on Mania?
Facts. Facts.
So him
That's
having a match at Mania, even if it's dropping the US title, I don't care. Just get Shinsuke on the card.
nah, that's not for real. They done my nigga wrong for too long anyway. You're right about that. There you go. Crown Jacob versus Shinsuke, beating Shinsuke at Mania. There you go.
That'd be insane. That'd be insane.
But the continuation of the bloodline antics, well, they're the bloodline, so of course Cody don't like them, right?
Yeah.
And Jimmy Uso don't like him, so of course that's our main event. We get that as the tag team match, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu versus Jimmy Uso and Cody Rhodes. All is well that ends well, except Cody can't focus because KO comes out. And it's like, look at you, tagging with the bloodline again. You're tagging with Jimmy Uso right now. And he can't focus and has to go after Kevin.
Right.
Has to go after Kevin, but obviously that's just more ammo in Kevin's chamber because he can be like, you left Jimmy out there for the Wolves for the new bloodline, because that's immediately what I thought. It's like he's just gonna bring that up next week. Like you let Jimmy get his ass beat because he was too focused on me. You know what I'm saying? Because you're too sensitive and you don't want to hear the truth. But I will say, I think this spot was missed because ending this fight, Cody, I believe, was supposed to spear Kevin Owens off like the technical equipment into the tables. That was not a spear. That was like the ugliest, like non-Polynesian, non-Samoan spear I've ever seen. But I'm pretty sure that's what that was supposed to be. Because it's more like a my arm is wrapping you shoulder check at the same time kind of tackle, sort of, is what he did. But if he did a spear, is what I believe, that's some nuance for your ass. You know what I'm saying? That bloodline Roman Reigns influence, it's all over Cody. like Kevin is talking about, just to bring that up. So I was trying to pay attention to the details. I'm like, what? That's me when I'm watching. I'm like, what moves are getting hit right now? That's how I identify them. But yeah, that's
My
a little
question,
bit of extra for me.
my question to you is, I mean, Kevin makes a good point. It's like, Cody, you're teaming up with Jimmy, in this fight, blah blah blah. Same could be said about Jimmy.
Hmm.
So does Roman have an issue with Jimmy teaming up with Cody? And now the argument could be like, okay, but yeah, Roman, you teamed up with Cody under different circumstances. The first time, it was a mutual understanding that it was just for one night only. The second time, Paul Heyman
Because you
begged
got
and
to deal with
pleaded.
the new
It
bloodline.
wasn't
Yeah.
Roman trying to get Cody into that War Games match. So just because they tagged twice doesn't necessarily mean that they're good. And so that doesn't necessarily give Jimmy the authority to go tag with Cody.
I think I would push back on that just because I do believe I know like definitely Roman still has an I wouldn't say an issue. Maybe he does, but that whole storyline of like gearing up towards War Games, like there was that whole like you said one night only type of thing,
That
like
was
just
Punk. That
squashing
was
it
Punk.
for
What am I thinking about? I don't know why I said Cody. That was Punk. That was in War Games.
yeah
So
that
they
was
really
Punk.
tagged. They only tagged once, but so that goes back to bad
Like
blood.
it's just the fact that Cody's the champion. You know what I'm saying? Because now he's
Yeah.
settled everything, so it's like he just
Paul
wants the
said
title
he
back.
wants his title back.
Yeah, exactly. But that can obviously
Roman
just be
is going
business.
to be in the Rumble.
Yeah, and he said he will. Yeah, he's gonna win the Rumble for sure.
So why is Jimmy tagging with Cody?
Because when they came back together, like for them to like remember in that storyline, Roman didn't have nobody with him except Jimmy. So it's like, oh, we looking for everybody because you had to like you had to convince Jay. Jimmy had to go over on Raw and convince Jay and be like, yo, we could squash it. You know what I'm saying? Family business. And they were still a man down, like because they brought Sammy still, but during that time when Jay was like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this as equals. Like, and I'm pretty sure he was speaking for everybody in that. Like, you're gonna treat us with respect. It wasn't just a Jay thing. So in that way, that's where I view it. Like, Roman knows that, like, not Cody or that Jimmy and Jay really don't have an issue with Cody. I mean, it's more if there is an issue, it's like him. You know what I'm saying? Because he just wants the title back, but they don't really got no problem with him. You know what I'm saying? They've already that's run its course basically. So right now, I see it as like if they were to have, let's say, Roman wins the title or wins the Royal Rumble, that's going to be a straight up match. That's going to be there's not going to be any hullabaloo or anything. That's just going to be straight up, no cheating, no nothing. I think that'll be yeah. Unless that is just a reminder of for everybody else that we've been treating Roman like a face, and then guess what? He hits Cody with a low blow or something. And he's like, I never changed. I'm triumphant. You believed in me, and I'm still a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, that's the whole
I don't know if
argument
I would
that
have that.
was that Drew McIntyre. No, it was Drew McIntyre. Somebody's been making that whole argument that's like,
Mhm.
why are we trying to put the guy that Kevin has been saying that? Why are we trying to put the guy
Yeah.
back in there that we spent all year trying to take out?
4 years. We took 4 years, 3.5 years to take this guy out.
Just to put him back in the position.
Yeah.
That.
And that was his problem because he was like, y'all screwed me too.
I'm going to put some imaginary chips on Roman having some words with Jimmy next week about this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can build towards that for sure. Get that train running again. It is close or the road to WrestleMania now. So
yeah,
these storylines are going to speed up. We're past the holidays. Time to pay attention. But right. Yeah, that was no disrespect. I'll put this in shake. Chelsea Green, the queen that she is, the presidential candidate that she is, retaining versus Michin. Heel stuff, obviously. I love Piper Niven being Secret Service, just dressed in all black with the shades and everything.
She looked good. She looked good. I like the outfit.
Yeah, yep. Red, white, and blue, even though she's Canadian. As she will keep saying, I'm sure.
I was talking about Piper's outfit.
With Piper, the black sequin. Yeah, she looked good. Love those ladies too. But yeah, that was SmackDown. That was the boutique.
Yeah, so Michin is going to be set up to win this title from her. When does that happen?
Ooh, we got Elimination Chamber is the last pay-per-view before Mania, right? Because Royal Rumble is before that.
Officially, I believe there might be a Saturday Night's main event in March.
Okay. I could believe that as a Royal Rumble match. I could believe that as a Royal Rumble match right now. That's how far away?
3 weeks.
3 weeks? That's a short reign. Yeah, you're right.
Saturday night main event is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not there. The thing about Chelsea, though, I mean, she's still a comedy character. So not for her to like, I don't believe that this reign needs to be super long. You know what I'm saying? Because from a kayfabe sense, she's not like the best wrestler. Like she's not gonna go blow for blow with like Bailey or Bianca or anything like that. I mean, that's why we have this separate division. But for the rivalry's sake, I would say I don't know. You can give her to Mania.
Holiday. I was like, when's the next patriotic holiday?
Yeah.
President's Day.
What was that? President's Day? Yeah, that's February. So
and there's nothing in March. There's nothing in April. The next closest one would be Memorial Day.
Yeah, that'd be May. Drop it on Memorial Day.
And then after that, 4th of July.
I think the problem we're having an issue with is like who else is in this division? Like who else is vying for this title? You know what I'm saying? Because right now it's just Michin and Chelsea Green, who are obviously they are the last of it. But like we need to like start bringing in, now that she lost again definitively, let's bring in the rest of that US title women's bracket. You know what I'm saying? That's not Bailey and Bianca and like the major ones. You know what I mean? So that's what we got to do. And then we'll get like a more defined picture of how Mania looks and if she can drop it or not. Because right now it's just the US title is literally just defined by Chelsea and Michin right now. So
and I want Michin to win it. I want Michin to win it. I hope hopefully sooner rather than later. Just so like we don't lose any kind of momentum with Michin.
Yeah, and then obviously they both deserve it. So like maybe it just does go to Mania. Maybe it's a Mania moment for both of them, and Michin wins at Mania.
Yeah,
so
that'd be dope. That'd be dope too. I would like that a lot. I'd pop for that. I'd really pop for that.
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny that one of Michin's moves is called long back.
Long back? Wait, which move is that?
Like she kind of does this little twerk, and then she kind of does the running into the corner, and then kind of like tossing her body. And I'm like, I get why you call it long back, but like the true definition of long back means that you have no ass.
Yeah, right. He's leaning and she's like, yeah, I know I'm Asian. I'm an Asian black girl, and I got the Asian cakes. Like basically.
I just find that hilarious. I just find that hilarious that she called that long back. But okay. Anything else from the bodega?
No, that is it for me. That is it.
All right, let's move on to Saturday. And I don't have a champion of the week, but I was here by myself last week. So you got double duty week this week, and you're gonna give us 2 champions.
Hey, don't say it like you telling me what to do. I just put 2 of them on there. All right, and I came with it. But yeah, my first champion of the week, the Chelsea Chan Graduation Tears title, which this is nothing more. We don't need to play the video. We got issues with like playing any YouTube like recorded nonsense. But like this is gonna go to Roxanne Perez and Trick Williams. For me, in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're graduating. Like we should be seeing them like now on the main rock, like very soon in the next few weeks, because like you said, definitive, like when you go down, shoulders on the mat, definitive. Roxanne just had this long 2-time championship reign. Trick has been champion like the whole year, with the exception of Ethan Page for a good rivalry for like 3 months, and he recaptures it. This is 2025 graduation tears. Congratulations, cheers for both of them, man. It's just, this song is nothing but singing at high school graduation. that's
I don't even know who
element.
Chelsea Chan is.
No, I didn't know either, but I was looking for the the classic just graduation anthem. You know what I mean? But then I found that this was very popular too. It's a very sad almost it's just recap of high school, and I'm like, all right, all that's unnecessary. It's like the teachers that we've learned from, the sports that we played, it's just super
Yeah.
extended. You're like, Jesus, all right, it's super Disney, I'll
It's
just
high school. Get over it.
yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, chill, like, but that's
You know
what I
what
put it in my
also
heart.
made it really definitive? The fact that both after Obafemi won the title, Giulia comes out and Obafemi they're both standing at the top of the stage, and it's
Hmm.
like, and new NXT women's and men's champions. And it's like, oh, okay, that one I was like, that's a shot for the TV. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a little
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
Like that's a little weird.
yeah.
But again, the differess is as well.
Especially
We
since he's a misogynist and he doesn't respect women in kayfabe. So why would she do that?
But the difference is that we talked about it exclusively for Raw being the transition to Netflix. That's
Mhm.
just domestically. Internationally, NXT and SmackDown are also on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so we got one episode on Netflix. The rest of the world got two other episodes of TV. And so you're also getting an entire brand new audience of people that are watching this stuff for the first time, not just like Raw. It's happening with NXT and it's happening with SmackDown. Now, SmackDown was the weaker show out of the three this week,
Mhm.
but everything was geared to Netflix. So honestly, this week you can kind of count it as a wash for the
That was a
fact
good
that
week. Why would you watch it?
no, I'm not
It's
saying
just the
it's that.
debut.
I'm not saying it was a bad week. I'm just saying that like this week was mostly meant for the casual audience. That's all.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
Because again, they would never put Giulia and Obafemi on a stage with that graphic.
Hmm.
That's not happening. You're only doing that for the casual audience. You're not bringing Undertaker out to ride his one lap on his bike and give everybody fucking carbon monoxide.
In the front row, yeah. You got fucking 7-year-olds breathing in carbon monoxide in a Rey Mysterio mask.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's some things that is specifically done for this week because of the magnitude of what this week is. Next week, I think we get back into our regular scheduled
Yeah.
program. So, not to say it was a bad week. It was a really enjoyable week. You just got to know that there are certain things that, hey, it's just not for us. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you have to pick it apart and say it's terrible. Just know, hey, this is for the regular audience, the first time
Mhm.
viewers. And, as someone that watches it 52 weeks out of the year, you can give up a week. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Just don't
It's
make it
your,
a habit. If this was every fucking week, then I'd kind of have a problem.
mhm. For my second champion of the week, I'm gonna go with AEW's. I've christened this AEW's first annual crackhead throwing title. Lance Archer won it, by the way, but it goes to Lance Archer, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricochet in this spot during the Casino Gauntlet match, where I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about when you just got beef on beef action, and then a small guy, high flyer, gets in the middle of them,
Mm-hmm.
and Powerhouse throws him like over to Lance Archer. Lance Archer's like, "Oh, you threw him 6 feet. I see you 6 more inches." Yeet! Like the traditional yeet, and throws him back. And they throw Ricochet, poor 175 lean pounds of high flying Ricochet, back and forth like 4 times. And I loved it. And I would have been in the crowd chanting beef the exact same way. So immediately seeing that spot, it reminded me of this YouTube video, which
Yeah.
was the annual crackhead throwing competition. I don't know if you've ever seen this
No,
video.
I'm watching it right now. This is wild.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Is
That's
this really a
exactly how it
crackhead,
sounds.
or is it just
This is
like?
really a crackhead really being thrown in a sport-like competition out in the hood. That is what's happening.
I bet you these dudes, they be like, we don't dance no more. All we do was Roy.
Yeah, this is what's his name? Kimbo Slice Cousins and them. Like he started boxing
Like
in
a
the background. They
goddamn,
was putting on.
that dude.
He really tossed his ass off. He got some distance on that shit. Like that's wild. But that's it for the champions of the week. out to our audience, as always, we appreciate your likes and subscribes, your support from everywhere. I mean, give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube here. We're coming to Twitch, all at the Wrestling Re-Up. That's our tag, the Wrestling Re-Up.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining another episode. I think we now just officially made this probably our longest episode. I don't know.
Probably, if not, it's in the ballpark for sure. It's definitely top 3.
This is a welcome back episode because you were gone. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of catching up talk that we had to do. Netflix being Raw debuting on Netflix. We're not making this a habit. This is a one-time only thing. We're gonna try to keep it incorrect. But thanks for everybody joining. Episode 27 of the Wrestling Re-Up. We'll be back next week for episode 28 of the Re-Up, Daryl Green edition. We got new tag team, new Intercontinental Women's Champion being crowned. Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria.
Mm-hmm.
What else that we got next week? Off top of the head.
That's the biggest thing. There you go. Yeah, not sure. We'll worry about that next week.
But we got a bunch of stuff coming up next week that we're obviously going to go through. Do we have a pop-up show next week? When is AEW's pop-up show?
No, their next is a special edition that they have. They have Maximum Carnage is next week, but that's a special edition. It's not a pop-up.
That's a theme show?
Yeah, it's a theme Dynamite. Yeah, because that's what the Casino Gauntlets were setting up. So,
okay, we'll be back next week to go through the Wrestling Avenue and talk about it again. And I'm just rambling at this point. We'll catch y'all next week from the Habesha Hayes, French Rock Row, and we out.